Chapter 1552. What did you say? In the Al-Heaven star system, the almost destroyed Thunder Celestial realm was now in ruins. There was no trace of any living being there. There would be flashes of broken spatial cracks that would flicker and disappear. They were like broken pieces that were being swept by the wind. Master Flamespark had taken away most of the continents in the Thunder Celestial realm. What remained were just some irregular rocks that slowly floated through this broken world. In the depths of the ruined Thunder Celestial realm there was a circle of light. This circle was almost 10,000 feet wide and looked like a ball of light. Inside, one could see a grass hut, and it was surrounded with some flowers and plants. Inside the hut sat an old man in black. He wasn't tea cultivating, but holding a green leaf as if he was observing the veins on it. This old man was an extremely powerful cultivator that had appeared in the first battle, Old Ghost John. No one knew where Old Ghost John was hiding, or could have expected him to be hiding in the collapsed Thunder Celestial realm. Old Ghost John was holding the green leaf in his hand and observing it carefully when he suddenly looked into the distance. His eyes shined, but if you looked closely you would see a faint hint of gold. However, this gold color was too weak, almost insignificant. Celestial. Old Ghost John's pupils shrank and the green leaf in his hand collapsed. Old Ghost John was moved and slowly got up. His eyes lit up as if he was going to pierce the void and see what had caused this feeling. His gaze could see through the world, the inner and outer realm, but at this moment, he couldn't find the person that gave him this feeling. Could it be Royal Celestial? Old Ghost John was shocked and took a deep breath. He only calmed down after a long time. He knew that if a real Celestial's bloodline was very pure and noble, it would make it so he could feel the celestial spiritual energy but not find where it was coming from. This was a very mysterious spell, a bloodline spell. The more pure the Celestial's bloodline, the more difficult it was for others to find that Celestial. Even the general location seemed to be covered by fog. Due to this, the young man from the summoned river misunderstood and thought that a Celestial had descended. He couldn't see what was happening at the Alliance headquarters. He only felt the shocking celestial spiritual energy coming from the inner realm. The Celestial that descended has a very pure bloodline and should have noble status. However, his cultivation level is not high. Only a rank 7 Celestial I once obtained a great fortune and won a celestial inheritance. My current cultivation level is early stage void tribulent, which is equal to an Earth Celestial. If I can obtain his bloodline, Old Ghost John silently pondered. There was another place in the inner realm. This place was a vast land, and with a dim sky. It existed inside the inner realm, but at the same time, it didn't exist. To be more accurate, it was a world that overlapped with the inner realm but was stationed above the inner realm. It was a painting hiding inside a painting. Only after ripping open the first painting could one see the truth within. There were endless ancient god, ancient demon, and ancient devil statues spread across this area. This was the place Wang Lin saw when he went through his divine retribution. It was also where the young man in the summoned river was from. This was the rumored ancient celestial realm that had disappeared according to the rumors in the inner realm. There were almost 10,000 statues here, and they were spread out all across this area. There were 4 statues in the enter that were much bigger than the rest. The ancient god had no ancient god stars between his eyebrows. It was as if they had been absorbed by someone. Looking closer, there was a deep hole between the ancient god's eyebrows. There was a figure shrouded in a golden light sitting inside the hole. The 3 main statues were the same. Celestial spiritual energy. What powerful celestial spiritual energy! If Master can obtain it, it could speed up his awakening and restore his memory. The golden figure inside the first statue murmured before raising his right hand to reach out of the ancient god. However, as soon as he lifted his hand, there was a strange force from the ancient god that quickly gathered between the eyebrows and turned into a strange seal. The golden figure's right hand touched the seal and was knocked back. An angry roar came from inside the hole. Inside the second statue, there was another golden figure, and he slowly said, "Damn it, don't waste any more celestial spiritual energy. This seal has trapped us for all these years, but it won't be long before we can break out. Vermilion bird, you re good at scheming. What is the chance of that plan succeeding?" A somber voice came from the third statue. "It won't fail, and the result will soon appear." These 4 huge statues sealed the ancient celestial emperor's 4 great generals, the Azure Dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, the black tortoise. If Wang Lin were here and saw this, he would be shocked. His first thought would be that if the real vermilion bird was sealed here, then who was the person that proclaimed himself to be the first-generation vermilion bird? Brilliant Void Star System, Alliance Headquarters. Wang Lin's right hand pointed at the sky and the giant palm print descended upon the mountain and river painting. Wang Lin's expression was calm, but he was serious. When Master Long Pan had just awakened, he was only at the Nirvana Void stage, so Wang Lin was able to break his two arms. However, when the mountain and rain painting appeared, Master Long Pan, who had fused with the planet, gave off the powerful aura of a mid-stage spirit void cultivator. With the Joss flames from the mountain and river painting, his aura became even more solidified and real. Wang Lin was not surprised that Master Long Pan was a third-step cultivators with Joss flames. He was Master Zhong Xuan's teacher and had lived before the celestial realm collapsed. He was in the same generation as the previous lord of the sealed realm. Before the four great celestial realms collapsed, they were used to produce Joss flames. Master Long Pan must have obtained a great fortune during that time. Although it was unknown when he had to fuse with the planet, he must have been extremely powerful. Mid-stage spirit void Wang Lin silently pondered and his eyes shined. Although it looked like he had easily killed esteemed teacher Tian Zhao, in truth, he had used his full power while ignoring the consequences of the rejection force. That was already his limit. The consequences were very serious, and the rejection was very difficult to suppress. It raged through his body, making him feel like his body was going to collapse. Although others couldn't see it, Wang Lin was bitterly enduring. At this moment, facing a mid-stage spirit void cultivator, Wang Lin had no confidence. That's why he had risked it all and used the War Spirit print. Using the War Spirit print was the second time Wang Lin had used his full power without caring about the rejection force. All the celestial spiritual energy inside him had erupted and the rejection force was rampaging throughout his body. The veins under his clothes were swelling and were clearly visible. However, Wang Lin didn't care about this. He had come here to save Qing Shui. Wang Lin was going to save Qing Shui no matter what. Wang Lin's expression was fierce, and he took a step forward. He then lowered his right hand, and a thunderous rumble echoed. After absorbing so much celestial spiritual energy, the War Spirit print had become a real celestial spell. The thunderous rumbles were heaven-shaking. There was a large amount of ripples around the palm as it closed in on the mountain and river painting. From afar, this scene looked extremely shocking. The palm seemed like it was going to rip the mountain and river painting before it apart. At this moment, the ripples around the palm touched the mountain and river painting. The suction force from the mountain and river painting increased and caused the ripples to distort. The moment the ripples distorted, the giant palm touched the mountain and river painting. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world and turned into a powerful impact that scattered in all directions. Wang Lin's body trembled and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He retreated a few steps and the rejection force inside his body rapidly erupted. It raged inside his body. His origin soul-like celestial body was frantically attacking his flesh. His flesh also erupted in an attempt to destroy the celestial body. The collision of the two forces caused a tearing sound to come from Wang Lin's body, making it seem as if his body was going to be split in half. As for the War Spirit print, it landed on the mountain and river painting and unexpectedly tore off a corner. It went into the painting and crushed all the mountains and rivers inside. However, the mountain and river painting was extremely mysterious. The moment the mountains and rivers collapsed, they were quickly redrawn onto the painting. At the same time, a giant palm print appeared and seemed to start studying the War Spirit print. A moment later, it took shape and collided with Wang Lin's War Spirit print. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the world trembled. The aura from the old man inside the planet seemed to increase once more, revealing the terrifying power of a peak mid-stage spirit void cultivator. Anyone who attacks the Alliance will be destroyed. An ancient voice rang out, and then the torn-apart mountain and river painting quickly recovered. It spread out and descended toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin smiled angrily and stared at the old man inside the white light. He waved his right hand and a bow came out of his body. What's the use of your alliance? The outer realm has invaded, and the inner realm has suffered heavily. The Cloud Sea was almost wiped out, the Summoned River has fallen, Al Heaven is giving it their all, and the Brilliant Void is struggling. But your disciple became a lackey of the outer realm, and your alliance has been occupied by the outer realm. There is also a 7-colored realm hiding here. I am the current lord of the sealed realm. I came to destroy the 7-colored realm and save my senior brother Qing Shui and kill the outer realm cultivators. What right do you have to stop me? What did you say? The ancient voice paused for a moment. At 36, Leo is still getting wisdom teeth, in pain for many days, with swollen jaws, frustrated, and they're not even breaking through yet. Counting them, there are 3 or 4 wisdom teeth not yet emerged. Chapter 1553, Master Zhongshuan. The expression of the old man inside the white light changed after hearing Wang Lin's roar. He raised his head and his ancient gaze looked at Wang Lin. You read the Lord of the Sealed Realm? Wang Lin held the bow with his left hand. The bowstring was originally broken, but after fusing with Wang Lin, it was restored. However, pulling this bowstring was the same as pulling Wang Lin's tendon. However, Wang Lin didn't care about the consequences right now. Although he was as cunning as a devil, his personality hadn't changed. Once he decided on something, he wouldn't back down. He was going to save Qing Shui no matter what. Wang Lin's right hand grabbed the bowstring. This caused the veins on his face to swell. He let out a roar and pulled the bowstring back. After the bowstring was pulled, Wang Lin felt every tendon in his body being pulled. His face went pale, but his eyes were bloodshot. At this moment, he didn't care about the rejection force or his tendons being pulled. His only thought was how to kill anyone who blocked him from saving Qing Shui. You can ask your disciple if what I said is true or false. Wang Lin's words were cold, and he pulled the string a bit more. The force inside the bow could collapse the world. The old man inside the white light looked at the bow in Wang Lin's hand and confusion appeared in his eyes. This was the first time he had awakened since he went to sleep, and he had been awakened by his disciple. He didn't know what had happened before and after. He only saw Wang Lin trying to destroy the planet. Wang Lin's words shook his mind. Although he had been asleep for a long time, he remembered that he was an inner realm cultivator and the help he had received from the Lord of the Sealed Realm. While pondering, the old man looked down at the giant planet below him and waved his right hand. 3 figures were surrounded by white light and pulled out of the planet by him. The 3 figures were 3 frightened old men. One of them was Master Zhongshuan, but his appearance had changed from middle age to that of an old man. The 2 people beside him were the 2 head elders of the alliance. The senior elders trembled as they looked at the old man in white in awe. They knelt down and said, "Greetings, Grand Elder." "Greetings, teacher." Master Zhongshuan was extremely nervous. He was terrified after hearing all of Wang Lin's words. He was quickly thinking about what to say. "Teacher, this matter is not as that Junior says. He raised his head while trembling and tried to explain. However, Master Longpan coldly looked at him. This caused Master Zhongshuan to swallow his words. His body trembled, and he didn't dare to speak. "You are Xianxia. When you went to sleep, you were a child under me." Master Longpan's gaze fell on the old man to the left. "That's right, Junior is Xianxia." The old man's eyes were filled with excitement. He didn't expect Master Longpan to remember him. "Tell me if what this person said is true or false." Master Longpan's voice was calm, but it was filled with a sense of majesty. Xianxia's eyes were filled with hesitation and fear as he subconsciously looked at Master Zhongshuan. "Useless trash!" Master Longpan let out a cold snort and waved his right hand. A ray of white light shot out and landed on the old man. The old man screamed and his body exploded into flesh and blood that splattered Master Zhongshuan and the other old man. Wang Lin coldly watched. His right hand pulled the bowstring back a bit more. After killing Xianxia, Master Longpan looked at Master Zhongshuan, revealing a powerful sense of regret. He let out a sigh and grabbed the other elder. The other elder let out a fearful scream as Master Longpan placed his hand on the elder's head. His powerful divine sense swept the elder's mind. Master Longpan's expression became more and more ugly. "Traitor! You've got guts!" Master Longpan squeezed his right hand and the old man let out a scream before being crushed. Master Zhongshuan's face turned pale, and he subconsciously retreated a few steps. He knelt down on the ground in fear, and his voice was distorted. "Teacher, have mercy. Teacher, have mercy." There is a reason for this. The outer realm cultivators invaded, and the inner realm was no match at all. Even if disciple resisted, It would have been pointless. Disciple had to guard the alliance. In order for the alliance to continue, I had to resort to making an agreement with the Outer Realm. The Outer Realm's Sovereign Council has promised to protect the alliance. Teacher, you have been asleep, so you don't know that nearly 1,000 years ago, Alheaven launched an attack on the alliance. The alliance was torn apart, and only the alliance headquarters was preserved. Back then, Disciple tried to call Teacher, but Teacher didn't respond. Disciple doesn't have any feelings toward the Inner Realm. If they came and attacked my alliance, then why can my alliance help the Outer Realm cultivators? Moreover, this seven-colored realm was found by you, Teacher. The Outer Realm cultivators that appeared were killed by you, and you sealed the seven-colored realm. You even established the alliance headquarters here to guard this realm. You have been asleep for all these years, so you don't know the changes that took place over the years. What's the use of dying for the Inner Realm? The Outer Realm's sovereign is extremely powerful. I fear not even Teacher is his match. What can we resist with? The loss of the Inner Realm is already set, and you can change that, Teacher. With your power, we can defect to the Outer Realm and obtain great fortune there. Why toil for the Inner Realm? You, Master Longpan looked at Master Xianxia, and the regret in his eyes became even stronger. He actually hadn't found much in the Elder's memory. Everything he had done was to scare Master Xianxia. Master Xianxia didn't know about this, and said everything out of fear. No matter how much the Inner Realm fights, it has nothing to do with the Outer Realm. As long as they don't enter, this old man won't awaken. The rise and fall of the alliance is up to fate. This old man let you set up the alliance not to control the brilliant void, but to allow our cultivators to grow stronger in this cruel environment. It was all for the war against the Outer Realm. Master Longpan let out a sigh. Cultivation Alliance, the reason the Outer Realm even made a deal with you is because they saw me inside the planet. You also told them of my existence in exchange for a great fortune. Master Longpan understood his disciple too well. He looked at the pale Master Xianxia, and faintly saw the past before there was a Cultivation Alliance. A beggar boy was climbing a mountain with determination. It took the boy 17 days to appear before him covered in blood. All of this was because the body wanted to cultivate. There was a rumor in his hometown that when one climbed up the mountain, if they were fated, they could see an immortal. Song A, you said in your earlier years that your greatest wish was to become rich and return home. Master Longpan began to recall the past, and his voice gradually became gentle. However, his expression made Master Xianxia overflow with despair. His body trembled and he roared. Teacher, Disciple originally didn't intend to open the seal on the seven-colored realm. It was Celestial Lord Xianxia who slaughtered his way here and forced Disciple to break the seal. It was he who opened the seven-colored realm. Disciple had nothing to do with it. He is the culprit. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed on Master Xianxia. Master Flamespark was filled with monstrous hatred, and even his breathing became rough. Master Longpan seemed to not hear any of those words. His gaze toward Master Xianxia became even more gentle. Back then, your body was not good and you couldn't cultivate. Teacher pitied your fortitude and helped nourish your body. I obtained the heavenly 5 veins for your body and gave you Tao bones. However, now, you no longer have a Tao heart. Master Longpan recalled the past and let out a sigh. He waved his right hand and a white storm appeared. Master Xianxia's expression changed greatly, and he retreated like crazy. He let out a mournful scream. Teacher, have mercy. Teacher, don't kill me. Teacher, Disciple knows he was wrong. Disciple admits his mistake. Teacher. He retreated with desperation. As the storm closed in, he let out a miserable smile and closed his eyes. The storm wrapped around him but didn't hurt him. Instead, it pulled him behind Master Longpan and outside of the range of Wang Lin's bow. You have committed a monstrous sin and brought forth disaster. You also no longer have the heart of an Inner Realm cultivator, however. You are my disciple. I have a responsibility toward my disciple. Sins Teacher will take you to repay your sins. Master Longpan looked at the startled Master Xianxia and then bowed toward Wang Lin. Lord of the Sealed Realm, I will take responsibility for all the sins he has committed. He raised his right hand and hit his chest. Master Longpan coughed out a mouthful of essence origin energy, and his expression became dim. The cultivation planet below him instantly turned gray. The vegetation withered, Mountains collapsed, rivers evaporated, and the gullies widened. The entire planet was torn apart. As it collapsed, strands of white gas came out and entered Master Longpan's body. At the same time, an ethereal fire began burning inside his body. I will cut off my vitality, and in exchange I will burn my origin soul to allow me to reach the strength of early-stage arcane void. I am going to kill all the outer realm cultivators in the inner realm, destroy the remaining 7 colored realms, and take back the summoned river in exchange for Master Xianxia's life. Master Longpan clasped his hands at Wang Lin before he looked at Master Xianxia with a gentle gaze. Teacher! Master Xianxia became sober and kowtowed constantly on the ground. His eyes were filled with extreme sadness and a strong sense of remorse. Let's go. Master Longpan let out a sigh. He took Master Xianxia and walked into the distance. I understand my disciple. He always prepares for both ends. The reason Celestial Lord Xianxia is fine is because he did this for his own survival. As his voice echoed, a white storm and shot toward the bloody spatial rift. Cracking sounds echoed and the red light collapsed, revealing 7-colored light. Xianxia was there. Leo has caught a cold, his nose running like a leaky faucet, making it unlikely he'll make it home tomorrow. Trying hard to ensure a new update, but lacking the energy, longing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1554. Black Tortoise. Master Flamespark, the matter of the past is not what you thought. Master Xianxia was filled with remorse and sadness toward his teacher. As he left, he looked back at Master Flamespark with a complicated expression. There was no wind among the stars, and even if there was, it would be created by a spell. The Storm Master Longpan had destroyed the red light, and released all the seals, so the 7-colored realm appeared clearly before Wang Lin. As the 7-colored light shined from the rift, a roar of madness came out from within. It was a beast-like roar that was filled with bloodthirst and killing intent. Listening to this roar, Wang Lin calmed down. He silently looked at the 7-colored rift, and after a long time, he looked back at Master Flamespark. Master Flamespark's gaze was still locked onto where Master Xianxia had gone. The hatred in his eyes was powerful. Wang Lin didn't know the vendetta between Master Flamespark and Master Xianxia. However, seeing how Master Flamespark did everything he could to launch an attack on the Alliance after escaping to all heaven, it was obvious this vendetta was as deep as the ocean. I can help you with this matter. Wang Lin let out a sigh. He knew the power of hatred. It was enough to make one crazy. Master Flamespark silently pondered, and after a long time, he withdrew his gaze. He then clasped his hands and whispered, "The matter between Junior and Master Xianxia is private, so the Lord of the Sealed Realm doesn't need to be concerned. The overall situation is more important. Junior understands this. If by the end of this war Junior dies, then this matter will be over, and it is the same if he dies. However, if in the end both of us are still alive, then it will be time for Junior to get revenge." Master Flamespark hid the hatred in his eyes. He had endured for countless years and wouldn't mind waiting a bit more. He could never forget what happened back then. He was originally best friends with Master Xianxia. It was also because of Master Xianxia that he and his Dao partner had joined the Alliance. The three of them would often debate Dao, and he was so enlightened by Master Xianxia's insight that he was willing to obey him. Master Xianxia was also extremely polite, and the two were good friends. At first their relationship was like water, but as time passed it became like fine wine. However, all of this changed because of one matter. Master Flamespark would often awaken from his cultivation with the memory engraved in his mind replaying. Every time, he would clench his fist and let out a roar of anger and humiliation. He doesn't want to recall it, but the memory was deeply engraved in his mind, becoming a thorn in his heart. This thorn was buried deep inside him and had begun to rot. It had corroded his flesh and blood and become an eternal pain. Wang Lin let out a sigh and shook his head. If you can absorb the power of the Joss Flame Black Dragon, it will be a great fortune for you. Now, I am going to enter this 7-colored realm. It is filled with danger, so don't follow. Master Flamespark nodded and said his goodbyes to Wang Lin before leaving. He looked a bit crestfallen, old and helpless. There was a hint of faint loneliness around him. It wasn't until Master Flamespark left that Wang Lin withdrew his gaze. The hatred between Master Flamespark and Master Xianxia obviously involved their own private matters. Wang Lin didn't want to guess, and he wasn't going to try. Although that story was buried in time, it had to still hurt, just like water that had flowed out of your palm. Although it was gone, the coldness was still there, covering up the warmth and spreading across your body. While pondering, Wang Lin walked toward the seven-colored realm. His pace wasn't fast, but each step was filled with determination. He didn't turn back nor hesitate, and with 3 steps, he entered the second seven-colored realm in his life. Seven-colored light filled this world and reflected off the ground. At a glance, it was extremely gorgeous and easy to lose oneself inside. 7 colors, like the rainbow. Wang Lin floated in the sky of the seven-colored realm and observed. This was not quite the same as the seven-colored realm he had entered before. Although there were mountains everywhere, they seemed to form a large formation. This formation was made of nearly 100,000 mountains. It gave off a powerful aura. Every mountain was part of the formation. The deeper the mountain, the more majestic it was. The mountain in the deepest part pierced into the sky and was shrouded by 7 colored clouds. Only half of the mountain was revealed outside the 7 colored clouds. What was even more shocking was that there was a cultivator sitting on the peak of every single one of the 100,000 mountains. They weren't cultivating but howling in pain. The howling voices fused together to form a mournful cry that echoed throughout the heavens and earth. This howl couldn't be heard outside the 7 colored realm, but it would enter directly into your mind if you were inside. It was the struggling cries of 100,000 ghosts. It was so powerful, it could shake the world itself. Every cultivator had countless sharp thorns penetrating their body. They didn't look like they were cultivating at all, more like they had been forced into this position with the thorns imprisoning them. Every cultivator had their head raised, and their hollow eyes looked at the sky as they let out unconscious cries. Fresh blood seemed to flow endlessly from the cultivators down the mountain, as if it would never dry up. There wasn't much blood, however. There was only 1 person per mountain, and that amount of blood was insignificant to the large mountain. However, nothing could compare to the passage of time, through which blood had continuously flowed down over the years. It would go on for as long as the cultivators imprisoned there didn't die, and their bodies continued to create more blood. Red smoke came from each mountain and shot toward the highest mountain within the 7 colored clouds. 100,000 mountains, 100,000 cultivators. Half of these 100,000 cultivators had marks between their eyebrows. They were clearly outer realm cultivators. The other half seemed to come from the Alliance. It was unknown how long they had struggled here. The smell of blood filled this 7 colored realm and seemed to fuse with the 7 colors. It caused the beautiful 7 colors to become demonic. Ghosts like shadows floated between the 100,000 mountains. They muttered Tao scriptures from their mouths. There were corpses walking within the 100,000 mountains in confusion, unable to ever get out. Their clothes were in tatters and their eyes were gray. Wang Lin silently looked at everything before him. After a long time, he slowly walked forward and entered the 100,000 mountains. As he closed in, a restriction inside the 100,000 mountains seemed to trigger. Then the endless howling seemed to suddenly stop. The gaze of every cultivator on the mountains that were originally looking at the sky suddenly turned to Wang Lin. They no longer howled, and their confused gazes were now filled with resentment as they stared at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as the bizarre gazes of 100,000 cultivators locked onto him. His steps stopped for a moment. At the same time, the large amount of enlightened ones floating between the 100,000 mountains suddenly stopped murmuring. Their hollow eyes stared at Wang Lin. It was as if Wang Lin's appearance had broken the balance here, or a living person had suddenly appeared among the dead. His abrupt entrance was felt by all the dead cultivators here. Blood in this extreme silence. A gasping sob slowly spread. It came from one of the closest mountains to Wang Lin, and from the mouth of an outer realm cultivator. When this voice appeared, even more sobs appeared. All the cultivators said the same thing. Blood. The 100,000 cultivators' eyes were all bloodshot. They were no longer sane as they stared at Wang Lin and let out mournful screams. Just at this moment, one of the cultivators at a mountain peak coughed out a mouthful of blood. This blood mist spread out, and there seemed to be countless shadows inside his blood mist. Shortly after, even more cultivators coughed out blood. The blood mist quickly filled the sky above these 100,000 mountains and gathered. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. There was no longer any hesitation. He stepped forward and moved fast enough to break the void. Thunderous rumbles echoed as Wang Lin charged ahead. He was extremely fast. Before the blood mist had completely fused, he had already rushed out quite a distance. He charged toward the depths of the mountain range, toward the highest peak. In a flash, Wang Lin closed in on the highest mountain. When he closed in, he saw a scene that caused him to gasp. At this position, he could clearly see that the 100,000 mountains were not connected to the earth, but were being held up by a petrified black tortoise. These 100,000 mountains were on the back of this black tortoise. It could be said that these 100,000 mountains weren't mountains at all, but torrents of this incredibly large black tortoise. The black tortoise was large enough to fill the entire seven-colored realm. At the head of the black tortoise sat a middle-aged man, but his body gave off an ancient aura. As he sat there, he emitted no trace of life. His body seemed to be connected to the black tortoise, and there was a 3-inch thorn sticking out of his head. If you looked closely, you would see that the thorn penetrated through his whole body and only 3 inches of it were sticking. Leo has a cold, with a sore throat and a bit of dizziness, not daring to promise if there will be a third watch today, doing his utmost to get through. Chapter 155 after Image Sword Cultivation. If this stalemate were to continue, it would definitely be bad for Ji Donglei. After all, the formation would only last for 2 hours, and half of that time had already passed. He thought carefully about what he should do. Originally, he planned on using the core formation cultivators to trap Wang Lin for a while to give him time to attack. However, at the most important moment, the fear of death swallowed those elders, so they backed down. His only choice was to act on his own, but he didn't expect Wang Lin to be able to see through the weakness of the formation. Now that he had gotten on the tiger, it would be hard to get off. He silently stared at Wang Lin. Wang Lin looked at him, then grabbed Li Muwan and backed up more feet. The mocking expression on his face intensified. Ji Donglei let out a sigh. He jumped back onto the head of the dragon and said, "Forget it. This old man admits defeat." With that, he stomped on the dragon's head and all of the spiritual energy in his body returned to the dragon. The light inside the dragon's eyes became brighter. As the spiritual energy returned to it, Ji Donglei's body trembled, and he revealed a painful expression. Gradually, his expression became even more painful, and his body began to shrink. After he finished shrinking, he knelt on one leg on the dragon's head. He looked like he had aged decades. He raised his head and weakly said, "This old man admits defeat. From now onward we will listen to what you say. This is the order from the fighting evil sect's sect head." With that, his hand trembled as he took out a purple triangular token and barely managed to put some spiritual energy inside it to make it fly forward. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He looked at Ji Donglei, and then at the token before suddenly pulling Li Muwan back several dozen feet. The moment Wang Lin's body backed up, an afterimage of Ji Donglei suddenly appeared at the spot Wang Lin was just in and turned into a ray of sword energy that stabbed toward him. Wang Lin's speed was really fast, but he couldn't match a flying sword. By the time he backed up 30 feet, the flying sword had already reached him. This flying sword was very fast. It wasn't much slower than the crystal sword using teleportation. In the blink of an eye, the flying sword pierced his chest, but it was stopped for a moment by the dragon skin vest. Wang Lin's fingers caught the body of the sword like a pair of claws. Wang Lin's face was gloomy. The enemy's flying sword was almost impossible to defend against. Luckily, he was far enough away to have a bit of time to react, or else the consequences would have been unthinkable. The flying sword trembled a bit before snapping into two from the center. A black flame appeared where the sword broke, and quickly turned the entire sword to dust. The moment the black fire appeared, Wang Lin quickly let go and coldly looked at Ji Donglei, who was still at the top of the dragon's head. Ji Donglei let out a regretful look as his body turned to ashes. This last attack was his ace in the hole and his greatest secret. He was a sword cultivator. Li Muwan's face was filled with shock. The scene from before was still causing her body to tremble. A lot of people in ancient times were sword cultivators, but nowadays, not many people cultivated only the sword. Instead, they used swords as treasures. A sword cultivator's speed and power are all stronger than normal cultivators. There are many sword cultivation methods, but only with a top-quality sword cultivation method, and a top-quality sword can one truly use a sword cultivator's terrifying power. Ji Donglei's sword cultivation wasn't very good, and his flying sword was also not good. Otherwise, with his power as a sword cultivator, he would have easily swept aside the cultivators in Nandu City instead of being forced to stay here. If he was fighting one-on-one, then his flying sword was powerful, but he couldn't split his attention when fighting multiple people, so he only had one chance to act. Zhe Donglei sent out his sword core on this last blow. This could be considered his golden core. This was planned to be a surprise final attack, but sadly it failed. With the death of Zhe Donglei, Mu Nan and Mu Bei were the happiest. They quickly realized what was happening and knelt before Wang Lin. "Congratulations, sect head!" Shang Guamo secretly cursed these two brothers for being shameless, but he himself quickly flew up to Wang Lin and bowed. "Congratulations, teacher, on becoming the sect head of the Fighting Evil sect." The 10 elders of the Fighting Evil sect that had formed the sword formation put away their swords. They were feeling very awkward. After pondering for a bit, they all bowed toward Wang Lin. Their meaning was obvious. As for the tens of thousands of disciples on the dragon formation, they all had more than 80% of their spiritual energy used up by Zhe Donglei. They struggled to stand up as they looked at the red punish that looked like it would bleed and loudly welcomed Wang Lin. Wang Lin felt no joy with Zhe Donglei's death. Instead, he felt helpless. There was no right or wrong in the cultivation world, only the law of the jungle. If he wished to survive, then he must destroy everything that threatened him. He imagined that if he hadn't come here himself, what awaited him was the Fighting Evil sect's endless retaliation. If he wanted to protect himself, then he must let everyone know that he was someone they couldn't mess with, and that the consequences of doing so would be very serious. Wang Lin's first display of power in the Sea of Devils was over. This first display of power was very successful. At least within 1 million kilometers of Nandu City, no one hadn't heard of the mountain of corpses Wang Lin had created. At least this stopped any more people from being greedy over the killing order. Looking at the tens of thousands of disciples bowing before him, Wang Lin looked toward the inner sea and thought, "Tang Hui Yuan, whether it's being an immortal or a devil, as long as I can get my revenge. What's wrong with becoming a demon king?" He let out a cold smile as his gaze swept over to Shang Guamo. "From today onward, you are the Fighting Evil sect's sect head," said Wang Lin. Shang Guamo was startled. He was about to speak, but when he saw the coldness in Wang Lin's eyes, he quickly stopped himself and nodded. "Prepare a room for me. I am going into closed-door cultivation." Wang Lin grabbed Li Muwan and flew toward the Fighting Evil sect. The room was quickly prepared. It was Zhe Donglei's personal room, which was located inside the head of the dragon. Wang Lin sat down cross-legged and looked at Li Muwan, who had a complicated expression on her face, and said, "After my closed-door cultivation is completed, I'll bring you back home. Until then, you are free to do as you wish." With that, he closed his eyes and silently cultivated. Li Muwan stared at Wang Lin. After a long time, she said, "Thank you." With that, she felt her heart tighten as she turned and left. After she left, Wang Lin opened his eyes. Instead of the usual coldness, there was confusion. The confusion became even stronger as time went on, until there was a hint of sadness as he recalled a scene from the past. "Taiju, you are not young anymore. Many people have come to ask about marriage in these past few days. Mom heard that immortals can marry too. Since you came back, you should stay for a while. Come with Mom to look around, and if you find someone you like, then we can settle things." "Little brat, other people your age already have kids running around the village." "My wife, why are you worrying about pointless things? Our son is an immortal." "Do you understand what an immortal is? How could he take a mortal as a wife?" "Taiju's meaning is that he will find you an immortal daughter-in-law." "What is so good about an immortal daughter-in-law? An immortal cannot come home for 5 years. If I have an immortal daughter-in-law, then they might not even come home once in 10 years. Fine, I'll listen to your dad. If your standards are too high for one of the girls in the village to catch your attention, then Mom will wait to see who you bring back. Mom, you can rest assured. Your son will definitely bring you back a good daughter-in-law." Gradually, 2 rows of blood flowed from his eyes as he clutched his fists. After a long time, he wiped away the blood tears, hit the side of the wall, and the dragon's mouth closed, leaving no cracks. Then, after placing a few more formations around him, Wang Lin focused his divine sense on the heaven-defying bead in his mind. His body suddenly disappeared from the room. Even the word "punished" disappeared. This was the first time Wang Lin had entered the heaven-defying bead after reaching the core formation stage. The moment he entered the heaven-defying bead, Shang Guamo, who was managing the fighting evil sect, trembled as he could feel that that terrifying fiend had disappeared. To be more accurate, his soul essence disappeared without a trace. This caused him to be shocked and terrified as he quickly flew into the air. After a while he turned around, revealing a look of disbelief. Li Muan, who had just walked down from the dragoness head, was startled as she looked up before letting out a sigh. Somewhere in the heaven-defying beat S-space, Situ Nan's nascent soul floated in the sky with both of his eyes closed and spiritual energy flowing through his body. On his sides floated two faint white lights. Wang Lin stood below the nascent soul and looked at the two balls of light. He knelt on the ground, kowtowed, and said, "Mom, Dad, Taiju will definitely bring you two back a good daughter-in-law, but now is not the time." After a long time, Wang Lin took a deep breath and raised his head towards Situ Nan's nascent soul. His eyes revealed a deep sense of gratitude as he whispered, "Situ, you can rest assured as I have already reached the core formation stage. Someday, I'll reach the nascent soul stage, then soul formation, and finally soul transformation so I can bring you out of here. Then I'll find you a body. This is my promise to you." With that, Wang Lin stood up and bowed at Situ Nan's nascent soul. Then his body disappeared as he left this place. Leo goes to the hospital with his wife, then directly to pick up his daughter from school, continuing the storytelling upon return. Chapter 1555. Qing Shui. Because this person was facing Wang Lin could see his expression. It was filled with joy and shock. It was as if he was very happy to be absorbing the power of this black tortoise, but when he was most excited, something terrifying happened, causing his death. This resulted in his happy and shocked expression. Wang Lin had not seen this person before, but he felt like this should be the Black Tortoise Divine Emperor that betrayed the Four Divine Sect and joined the alliance. The Four Divine Sect and the old Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor were very puzzled as to why the Black Tortoise Divine Emperor would betray their clan and willingly become the dog of the alliance. When Wang Lin saw the Black Tortoise and the middle-aged man, he had his guesses. This giant black tortoise stone beast was similar to the giant dragon he saw inside the ancient tomb. The aura they gave off was extremely shocking. Although this aura was dead, the power of it when it was still alive shocked Wang Lin. He withdrew his gaze and stepped forward. In an instant, he shot toward the top of the highest peak. The blood mist spat out by the 100,000 cultivators rushed toward Wang Lin from behind. However, Wang Lin ignored all of this and arrived at the peak of the highest mountain in an instant. Just as he closed in, a frenzied roar came from the top. This roar caused everything nearby to tremble and Wang Lin's clothes to flutter. Even the 7 colored clouds were loosened by this roar and were pushed back quite a bit. This caused the top of the mountain to be exposed to Wang Lin's gaze. With one gaze, madness appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. He saw Qing Shui. At the top of the mountain, a thin man with a ferocious expression was nailed to the mountain by 9 thorns. These 9 thorns gave off 7 colored light, but they weren't the 7 colored nails. This man with the ferocious expression was Qing Shui, although his appearance had changed greatly. He had lost the grace he had before, and his hair was a mess while his eyes were red from madness and killing intent, but Wang Lin still recognized him as senior brother Qing Shui. Roars seemed to come non-stop from Qing Shui's mouth. He seemed to be trying to collapse the 9 thorns on his body, but he couldn't so he could only roar loudly. "Kill! Kill, kill, kill! Kill all of you! Kill everyone! Kill!" A distorted and hoarse sound came from Qing Shui's mouth. There was another object before him. It was a 7-colored index finger 100 feet long that seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. It was 3 inches away from Qing Shui's forehead, pointing at him. It seemed to have existed for a very long time. Red threads seemed to be coming out from between Qing Shui's eyebrows and being absorbed by the finger. Wang Lin's scalp felt numb. He faintly felt that these 100,000 mountains were not simple. This formation played a special role, and Qing Shui was the sky to this formation. Petrified Black Tortoise, 100,000 mountain formation, 100. 0000 living dead cultivators with their blood being condensed into resentment and transformed into killing intent. What the hell is this formation? Wang Lin silently pondered as he closed in. In a flash, he entered the gap between the 7-colored clouds and was less than 1,000 feet from Qing Shui. However, just as he closed in, Qing Shui suddenly raised his head. His hair was covering most of his face and only his red eyes could be seen. He stared at Wang Lin and roared like crazy. Kill, kill, kill! I am going to kill everything, kill all of you, kill until there is nothing left, kill all life. These roars contained a shocking killing intent. Wang Lin was within 1,000 feet, so he took the brunt of the force. This killing intent was powerful enough to break one's stout heart. It was like the G realm, which could penetrate your mind and kill you from fear. Wang Lin's eyes revealed sadness. He vaguely guessed a few things, but there were still things he didn't understand. At this moment, he moved forward despite the killing intent from Qing Shui. 1,000 feet, 800 feet, 600 feet, until 300 feet. When Wang Lin was within 300 feet of Qing Shui stared at Wang Lin, and his body struggled. Qing Shui's pupils suddenly shrank and a bolt of red lightning shot out. This red lightning was his G realm. As he roared, the red lightning shot toward Wang Lin. They were too close, so the lightning closed in instantly. An extremely powerful killing intent erupted from the lightning along with the power of essence. This was the slaughter essence. Thunderous rumbles echoed. When the lightning closed in, Wang Lin formed a seal and waved with his hand. The red lightning touched his hand and collapsed. Wang Lin felt his hand go numb, and the power of the G realm entered his body. He could feel it try to destroy his mind, but he quickly suppressed it. Just as he was about to close in, Qing Shui opened his mouth and let out the most powerful roar since Wang Lin entered this place. As this roar rumbled, the slaughter essence inside reached a terrifying degree. Just as he roared, a blood shadow appeared before Qing Shui. This was a giant head, and it rushed at Wang Lin as it opened its mouth. Even Wang Lin's expression changed when facing this slaughter aura. This aura was extremely powerful, enough to shake his body and cause him to feel a sense of crisis. The golden fire from his left eye and the golden thunder from his right eye flew out at the same time and collided with the blood shadow. There was a thunderous bang and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth, forcing them to retreat. However, he still looked at Qing Shui, and the sadness in his eyes became even stronger. Senior brother Qing Shui, I am Wang Lin. I am your junior brother Wang Lin. Wang Lin bit his lower lip and roared at the crazed Qing Shui. The blood shadow dissipated under the golden fire and thunder. The impact blew back Qing Shui's hair, revealing his eyes and his face. This allowed Wang Lin to see swollen veins on Qing Shui's face, and there seemed to be something moving inside. As Wang Lin's words echoed, Qing Shui's eyes narrowed and revealed a painful expression. This pain contained sadness and a sense of despair after finding out some secret. My soul is chained to the black tortoise's body. Wang Lin, kill me, kill, kill, kill. I am going to kill all living being. The moment he became sober, the petrified black tortoise trembled, and a gray gas appeared. It instantly went toward the top of the highest peak and rushed into Qing Shui's body. After the gray gas entered his body, the brief moment of sadness in Qing Shui was replaced by killing intent. Even his previously struggling speech became roar of madness. His head was shaking, his expression was filled with pain, and his eyes became even redder. When the impact blew back Qing Shui's hair, Wang Lin clearly saw that there was another thorn that was 3 inches away from the area between Qing Shui's eyebrows. The 10th thorn. This thorn was hidden inside the hair and was very difficult to find. 10 thorns. It is not 9 but 10. I understand. Wang Lin quickly retreated. He then lowered his head and looked at the 100,000 mountains below him, his eyes shining. The 100,000 mountains turned into 10 thorns to seal Qing Shui's body. The cultivators on the 100,000 mountains are using their blood to nourish the black tortoise, and their killing intent to stimulate Qing Shui. This black tortoise isn't dead but its true body. They were using the black tortoise's body to trap Qing Shui's soul. The purpose of all this is to create the slaughter essence. Or maybe it's correct to say senior brother Qing Shui is a furnace for creating the slaughter essence. I understand the Black Tortoise Divine Emperor betrayed the 4 divine sect, because the Cultivation Alliance managed to find this black tortoise body somewhere. This black tortoise was likely one of the 4 great generals under the ancient celestial emperor. It contains the aura of the Black Tortoise clan, and as a descendant, the Black Tortoise Divine Emperor had to betray the 4 divine sect. Only this kind of temptation would be enough for him to become a traitor. Senior brother Qing Shui came here to find the reason for his madness. He must have found something that caused him to become crazy again. That 7-colored finger is the root of all of this. The red gas it absorbs is slaughter essence. Wang Lin retreated, and his mind trembled. He faintly grasped the truth. As he retreated, the blood mist from the 100,000 cultivators condensed before Xianxia. Bloody images began to appear within the red mist. Inside the image, a small mortal country was overthrown, and a teenage prince fled with sorrow. However, there was a 7-colored light in the sky, with a vague 7-colored shadow. The image flashed. Then the teenager entered a sect and was humiliated. He stood on a peak as his weak body let out a cry. He hated the heavens, the earth, and all life. The G realm was born. The 7-colored light was still in the sky, and the 7-colored figure seemed to be looking at the young man below. Wang Lin's mind was shaken. When he looked at what was happening inside the blood mist, he was no less horrified than when he found out about the scattered ThunderClan's 7 million worlds. He had a terrifying speculation. Raising Tao. Leo steps out without his laptop charger. The computer has no power, so he reads the chapters using his phone, typing manually. Tears are flowing. Chapter 1556, Strange Gaze. The image changed once more. The teenager grew up and returned to his destroyed country. The red moon hung in the sky for 7 days, and blood flowed. The 7-colored light was still there. In another image, a river of blood flowed as many cultivators that came from afar were slaughtered. Then the sad young man left. Wang Lin's mind trembled as he looked at the images. He saw Xianxia's past. He saw Xianxia enter the celestial realm, and he saw Xianxia's face filled with happiness instead of killing intent. Beside him was a woman. The woman wasn't an absolute beauty, but she exuded a sense of gentleness. She looked at Xianxia and revealed a sweet smile. Before the two of them was an old man. This old man was Bai Fan. He had a kind gaze as he looked at the two, seeming to be saying something. However, in this image, the 7-colored light was still faintly present in the sky. The indifferent gaze from the 7-colored light stared at Xianxia. This gaze appeared many times, and the more Wang Lin saw it, the more strange he felt. It was as if someone was looking into the mirror at another self. Blood mist surged, and the image changed. The new image was a shocking change that caused Wang Lin's eyes to narrow and fill with sadness. In the image, Xianxia was sitting on top of a mountain. The 7-colored figure in the sky suddenly raised his right hand and pointed down. With this point, Xianxia suddenly trembled, and the look in his eyes was replaced with bloodlust and killing intent. He let out a shocking roar that echoed across the entire celestial realm. A distance away, Bai Fan also stared at the sky with a look of disbelief. He vaguely felt something. Xianxia went mad. The slaughter that had been buried in his body for a long time suddenly erupted and descended upon the thunder celestial realm. Wang Lin saw a lot of celestials die to Xianxia. He was like a bloodthirsty demon that went more and more crazy as he killed. Then that woman appeared before Xianxia. Her eyes were filled with sadness but were still gentle. She died to Xianxia, but she hid her pain and looked at Xianxia gently. She then lifted her jade-like hand in an attempt to touch her lover's face but was powerless and her hand fell. She seemed to have said something. It was what she said and her flowing hot blood that caused Xianxia to become sober. He let out a heaven-shaking roar of sadness that could only be produced once you had reached the limit of your despair. As this roar of sorrow echoed, the image collapsed. The blood mist surged and everything repeated from the first image. This continued. It seemed there was a force that was going to use this cruel method to force Xianxia to recall this memory so that he could always be trapped in his slaughter, madness, and sorrow, trapping him inside his cycle forever. This method was stimulating Xianxia so the slaughter essence inside him would grow stronger and stronger. Wang Lin felt empathy. He vaguely knew Xianxia's story before, but now that he was seeing it himself, he felt even more sorrow. He felt sorrow for Xianxia's life and mourned for what Xianxia had to face. Senior brother Xianxia, I, Wang Lin, will give it my all to save you. Wang Lin turned around and no longer looked at the images inside the blood mist. He charged toward the black tortoise that was trapping Xianxia. This black tortoise was extremely large as this 7-colored realm. Although it had already turned to stone, the aura it released was extremely powerful. Wang Lin could clearly feel that aura coming from it. He even had an illusion that this black tortoise wasn't dead but sleeping. In order to save Xianxia, I must free his soul. With Wang Lin's understanding of restrictions, he had already seen that this black tortoise was the key to breaking this formation. If the suppression from the black tortoise on Xianxia's soul wasn't broken, it would be impossible to remove the 10 thorns from Xianxia's body. Wang Lin was sure of this. Wang Lin charged downward and his right hand formed a fist. Ancient god power gathered in his fist, forming a phantom punch that shot toward the black tortoise. The moment the punch appeared, a powerful gust of wind appeared and landed on the black tortoise. The black tortoise trembled, but there was no damage. A powerful rebound force landed on Wang Lin, forcing him back several hundred feet. "Break for me!" Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot and he roared once more. He raised his right hand and threw 10 more punches. Each punch contained the full power of his 7-star ancient god body. These punches turned into a storm and smashed down on the black tortoise. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the stone black tortoise trembled, but its back was unimaginably hard. There was no sign of breaking after the 10 punches, but at the same time, a powerful rebound force shot toward Wang Lin. Cracking sounds came from Wang Lin's right arm and he was knocked back over 1,000 feet. Blood started flowing from the corner of his mouth, but his expression became even more fierce. Just at this moment, as the thunderous rumbles echoed across the 7-colored realm, a muffled hiss came from the black tortoise's body. It couldn't be heard by one's ears, it could only be felt by the mind. When the hiss appeared, the 100,000 cultivators on the 100,000 mountains began to roar. Their bodies seemed to regain freedom, and all the thorns embedded their bodies were pulled out. Blood sprayed everywhere, and the wounds on their bodies instantly healed. From the outside, aside from their torn clothes, there were no signs of injuries. The 100,000 cultivators were filled with madness as they roared at the sky. They then charged toward Wang Lin from all directions. The spells they shot out shrouded the entire 7-colored realm. There was a flash of killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes, and the golden fire shot out from his left eye. Although the fire was now golden, it was still ethereal fire. It shot toward the incoming cultivators. However, there was no ethereal fire born from these 100,000 cultivators. This meant only one thing. These 100,000 cultivators were not living and had long died. Although they looked alive, they were actually being controlled by a mysterious force. Although no ethereal fire appeared, Wang Lin's celestial fire was much more powerful than it was during the first battle against the outer realm in the Cloud Sea. The fire spread and golden thunder rushed out in all directions. However, just at this moment, the 100,000 cultivators exploded by themselves before the golden fire and thunder. The flesh and blood condensed together to form a giant blade. This blade was made of flesh and blood. It was formed by the flesh and blood of 100,000 cultivators. When it was lifted into the sky, it casted a giant shadow. From afar, there were countless twisted faces and dismembered arms and legs on the body of the blade. The blade rapidly chopped down on Wang Lin as the 100,000 cultivators howled miserably. A sense of crisis filled Wang Lin's mind. At this moment, he could still retreat and leave the 7-colored realm, not caring about what would happen to Xianxia. But how could he do that? He couldn't do it. A sense of crazed pride arose in Wang Lin's eyes. His right hand hit his forehead and the 7 golden ancient god stars began to rotate rapidly. In the blink of an eye, he turned into a 10,000-foot ancient god. Wang Lin's body trembled. He clearly felt countless mournful roars filled with resentment and killing intent enter his body from the blade. A powerful force also came from the blade and shook his body. This was the physical force of 100,000 cultivators that had been increased several-fold by some mysterious spell. It was enough to hurt a 7-star ancient god. However, Wang Lin's body didn't retreat a step as he kept this force inside his body. He let out a roar and waved his right hand to push back the blade of flesh and blood once more. Still not enough strength, once more, Wang Lin's voice echoed. The blade of flesh and blood that was bounced back descended once more. Thunderous rumbles continued to echo and the blade of flesh and blood unexpectedly chopped down 100 times in a row. These 100 chops turned into one blade that wanted to chop Wang Lin in half. At this moment, Wang Lin released all the rejection force and allowed his body to erupt with 10 times his current power. This brief fusion of ancient god and celestial gave Wang Lin the power to kill a mid-stage spirit void cultivation. This was how he had killed esteemed teacher Tian Zhao. Thunderous rumbles echoed, Wang Lin's body trembled, and he swallowed the blood that was surging up his throat. He smashed toward the black tortoise, borrowing the power of the impact from the blade of flesh and blood. Wang Lin was so fast that he descended upon the black tortoise in a flash. At this moment, Wang Lin turned around and both of his hands formed fists that smashed into the stone black tortoise. "Break for me!" The entire seven-colored realm trembled. The world seemed like it was going to collapse. When Wang Lin's fist smashed into the stone black tortoise's back, cracking sounds echoed. Leo's speech is often puzzling. What with all the wishing for likes on the video and sharing Leo's work, leading the audience to erupt in laughter, the comments section filled with a lively atmosphere. Chapter 1557. Pulling the Thorns. 5 subtle cracks appeared on the stone black tortoise's back when Wang Lin's punches landed. As cracking sounds echoed, the cracks spread and countless branches appeared. However, just at this moment, a gray gas filled with death aura came out of the cracks and rushed toward Wang Lin. The gray gas was rejected with a powerful force and gushed out like a storm toward Wang Lin. However, Wang Lin had been on guard this whole time, so the moment it shot out, he retreated. At this instant, a strand of gray gas split off and flew toward the black tortoise divine emperor on its head. The gray gas flew extremely fast and entered the black tortoise divine emperor's body, causing him to tremble as if he was going to revive. A powerful aura suddenly broke out from the black tortoise divine emperor, and a faint roar came from his body. If it was another cultivator, they would be caught off guard by this and would find it difficult to handle the situation. However, Wang Lin had spent his life amidst slaughter and had the mind of a demon. From the moment he first spotted the black tortoise divine emperor, he had already been prepared. Seeing that the black tortoise divine emperor was about to revive, he didn't hesitate to wave his right hand and retreat. As he did this, a monstrous bloodlight flashed. The blood sword appeared and flew toward the black tortoise divine emperor with the speed to break the void. In a flash, it flew by his neck. There was no blood when his head was cut off by the blood sword. It also cut through the thorn that penetrated the head. The gray gas that had entered the black tortoise divine emperor's body rushed out from the neck after the head was cut off. The faint roar became a mournful roar, and as the gray gas leaked out, it became weak. The black tortoise divine emperor's body withered and a large amount of gray gas leaked out and finally collapsed. Wang Lin decisively removed a threat. As Wang Lin retreated, the blade of flesh and blood descended once more. The howling from the blade seemed to want to devour him. As it fell, Wang Lin turned around, revealing madness in his eyes along with a hint of wisdom. His right hand formed a fist and punched toward the giant blade. There was a thunderous bang and Wang Lin retreated several dozen feet. The giant blade trembled and screams came from inside it as thousands of souls collapsed. The size of the blade changed slightly. Wang Lin charged out right after being pushed back. He waved his right fist to collide with the blade of flesh and blood. A thunderous rumble echoed as the bombardment continued and the blade rapidly shrank. In the end, Wang Lin let out a roar and destroyed the blade with one punch. The blade shattered into pieces and all the flesh and blood turned to ashes. All of this happened in an instant. Although it looked simple, every punch contained Wang Lin's full force. At this moment, the rejection force inside Wang Lin was monstrous. He felt intense pain and blood flow out from every pore in his body. However, he ignored all of this. After destroying the blade of flesh and blood, Wang Lin turned around with determination. He flew high into the air before rapidly descending. Borrowing distance to gain speed, Wang Lin smashed down toward the back of the stone black tortoise like a meteor. Break, break, break. Wang Lin's roar echoed and his descent was extremely fast, causing a howl. In an instant, both his fists landed on the black tortoise's back. The giant stone tortoise's body trembled, and its back seemed to be torn. Large amounts of fractures appeared and some parts directly collapsed. Wang Lin's eyes were red, and the only thought in his mind was breaking the black tortoise, so it could no longer suppress Xianxia's soul. After one punch was not successful, he threw another punch. One punch after another. Wang Lin smashed down like crazy with his hands. Every hit caused the black tortoise to tremble even more violently, and the cracks to become even larger. As Wang Lin's fists fell, they emitted a golden light. Fire and thunder fused into his fists, increasing their destructive power. In a flash, Wang Lin threw more than 100 punches. Blood mist sprayed out from his body as the rejection force inside his body erupted in full force. The intense pain was turned into a sense of madness by Wang Lin, a determination to save Xianxia. In this world, only a few people could make Wang Lin go this far, and Xianxia was one of them. As hundreds of punches fell, more than half of the black tortoise's back collapsed but hadn't broken completely. The veins on Wang Lin's face swelled and he flew 10,000 feet into the sky. He then pointed at the sky. War Spirit Print! The sky darkened and a giant golden palm appeared. The ripples from the palm covered the sky. As Wang Lin's right hand pressed down, the palm print went through him and descended on the black tortoise's back. Wang Lin descended with the palm. His whole body gave off a golden glow as if he was a celestial. He let out a roar as he smashed straight down. A thunderous rumble echoed when the war spirit print landed on the black tortoise's back. The black tortoise trembled, and a palm-shaped imprint appeared on its shell. All the edges were shattered. Wang Lin's right hand pressed down on the black tortoise's back following the war spirit print. A powerful force erupted and all the scales on the black tortoise shattered in all directions. The black tortoise collapsed. A soul filled with sorrow flew out from the black tortoise toward Xianxia. The moment it collapsed, the 100,000 thorns on its back, including the one Xianxia was on, all collapsed. The one Xianxia was on floated in place, but the remaining ones all shot toward Wang Lin. The nearly 100,000 thorns no longer looked like mountains but real thorns. They were too fast and didn't give Wang Lin any time to dodge. In a flash they stabbed into Wang Lin's body. Intense pain washed over Wang Lin. In an instant, Wang Lin's chest was penetrated by a thorn, and soon more followed. Wang Lin was soon wrapped by the 100,000 thorns and could no longer be seen. All that could be seen was a giant ball of thorns. The rumbles slowly dissipated, and the seven-colored realm gradually calmed down. The 100,000 mountains had disappeared, and only the mountain Xianxia was on remained. It was shrouded by seven-colored clouds and no sound came from it. Outside the mountain, there was a giant ball of stone covered in thorns. On the ground lay the black tortoise with its back broken, but its head still looked into the distance. There were faint, gray gas escaping from the broken back. However, deep within its back, there was a broken gray crystal that gave off a faint flicker. It seemed as if the entire seven-colored realm had calmed down, but 15 minutes later, a series of popping sounds came from the ball of thorns. It was as if someone was trying to break out of this ball of thorn with their fists. The popping sounds became even more intense and broke the silence of the seven-colored realm. A moment later, a part of the ball of thorns collapsed and a golden fist poked out. This fist was trembling and covered in blood. There were countless broken thorns penetrated deep into the hand. A roar came out from within the ball and spread across the area. As the roar echoed, another fist broke out through the gap, and this fist was also bloody. Both hands gripped the sides and mercilessly tore at the ball of thorns. A cracking sound echoed, and then a crack appeared across the ball of thorn. A figure with even its hair dyed red with blood was revealed. Countless thorns were sticking out of every part of this figure. Even his eyes had countless thorns pierced through. The rough breathing from the figure resulted in a large amount of white gas being sprayed out. He seemed to be resting to regain his strength. After 10 breaths, his right hand slowly grabbed a thorn in his eye and pulled it out. Tears of blood flowed down. After a long time, he suddenly opened his eyes and let out a roar. His hand grabbed the ball of thorns and tore once more. This time, he ripped the ball of thorn completely in half. There were countless thorns connected to the figure inside, and when the ball was pulled in half, some thorns were pulled out. Blood sprayed everywhere. However, even more thorns broke off and remained inside Wang Lin's body. Senior brother Xianxia, I'll save you. A faint voice came out of Wang Lin's mouth after the roar dissipated. He stepped out of the ball of thorns, but the pain in his body was almost unbearable. There were tens of thousands of thorns penetrating his body. Every step caused blood to flow down from the thorns. Wang Lin's body slowly shrank from its 10,000 feet size. During this process, a lot of thorns collapsed, but a part of each thorn remained inside his body as if they were part of his flesh, and unable to be removed. "Senior brother, I am coming." Wang Lin walked into the seven-colored clouds with his vision was blurry. However, he still saw the trembling Qing Shui, whose hair covered his face. As blood continued to flow out, Wang Lin slowly arrived before Qing Shui. He stopped 7 inches from Qing Shui, and his right hand reached out at the first thorn in Qing Shui's chest. After taking a deep breath, he pulled at the thorn. Leo holds a stuffed bear close to his chest, muttering prayers for likes on the video, sprinkling followers in his shares, as the children beside him start to crave. Chapter 1558, Seven-Colored Figure. Qing Shui's body trembled violently. The thorn in his chest was pulled out several inches by Wang Lin. A suction force came from the wound, holding onto the thorn, and Wang Lin felt that suction force. As Wang Lin pulled the thorn, a strange aura went from the thorn into Wang Lin's heart. Wang Lin's heartbeat increased, and the sound of his heart beating surged out like crazy. The rate of his heartbeat became even faster and soon became an intense pain that washed over his body. Just at this moment, a ghostly voice came from behind Wang Lin. The first thorn was sealing his heart. Wang Lin stopped for a moment. He hadn't noticed anyone was here before, so when he heard this voice, his pupils shrank, and he slowly turned around. The mountain Qing Shui was floating in the air and had separated from the seven-colored finger. When Qing Shui's soul returned to him, the seven-colored finger before him had disappeared from this seven-colored realm. However, when Wang Lin looked back, the seven-colored finger that dissipated had reappeared. The light from the seven-colored finger was very weak. To Wang Lin it looked like the seven-colored finger collapsed, but instead of dissipating it reformed into a vague seven-colored figure. Although this figure was blurry, its gaze was clear as it looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin silently pondered as his ancient god stars rotated rapidly. The ancient devil stars in his right eye also rotated rapidly. His left hand formed a seal and his right hand loosened from the thorn. The blurry seven-colored figure quietly said, "Don't be nervous, you can continue to save him. I won't stop you." Wang Lin didn't relax at all. He immediately recognized that this seven-colored figure was the same one he saw in the image inside the blood mist. Wang Lin understood a lot about the seven colors. He had the seven-colored statue, saw the seven-colored Taoist refine a Tao spirit, and he also saw the same seven-colored Taoist in the illusion inside the ancient tomb. Looking at the blurry seven-colored figure, Wang Lin couldn't determine if this was the person that had made his scalp go numb. However, the aura this figure exuded was very calm. Ancient inheritance, immortal celestial body, 5 essences, you have a lot of secrets within you. The quiet voice still came from the seven-colored figure. "Who are you, Your Excellency?" Wang Lin's mind trembled, but his expression didn't change. If this person was really who he thought he was, then it would be no surprise that he knew his secrets. Any one of your secrets can be considered a great fortune by anyone else. However, to me, they are useless for the time being. The blurry seven-colored figure shook his head. He pointed at Qing Shui as he looked at Wang Lin and said, "You can continue. This is the opportunity I gave you. If you can save him, you can take him away. If you can't, then leave. This is your only chance." Wang Lin's right hand stopped forming the seal, and he didn't turn around before grabbing the thorn in Qing Shui's chest. The moment he grabbed it, the aura of Qing Shui's heart surrounded him once more. As this aura spread around Wang Lin, he felt intense pain in his heart, but he suppressed it. He slowly pulled the thorn out. The more he pulled, the more pain Wang Lin felt in his heart, as if there was a hand trying to crush his heart. Fortunately, he had the body of an ancient god, which had astonishing recovery power. As the intense pain washed over him, he was quickly recovering. The blurry seven-colored figure looked at Wang Lin and slowly said, "The body of the ancient inheritance is really good back then. Yimo scattered 3,000 drops of blood to retain his inheritance. And it wasn't wasted." When the pain in Wang Lin's heart reached its limit, his eyes lit up and his right hand mercilessly pulled the first thorn out. Qing Shui clenched his teeth and his body trembled but made no sounds. However, his face that was hidden under his scattered hair was twisted with pain. Blood covered Qing Shui's body, and just as the blood was about to erupt, Wang Lin quickly placed a seal on the wound. The seal flashed, and the blood slowly disappeared. Wang Lin silently pondered as the rejection force inside his body rumbled. The interaction between the celestial and ancient god powers caused endless rumbles to come from his body. The thorns outside Wang Lin's body collapsed due to this rejection force. Only those thorns that were buried deep within his body remained, as if they had taken root. The moment the stone-black tortoise's back shattered and the 100,000 thorns shot toward Wang Lin, he used both the light and shadow shield and the ancient goddess blessing. All of this was hidden by the thorns, and couldn't be seen by those outside. However, even so, he still couldn't stop the attack of the thorns, only delay them slightly. As Wang Lin stood there to regain his breath, the pain in his heart slowly dissipated. He looked at the blurry seven-colored figure before his hand grabbed the thorn stuck through Xianxia's throat. This second thorn is sealing his muscles. Wang Lin's pupils shrank slightly, and he said, "I wonder what your excellency meant by Yemo's 3,000 drops of blood." The seven-colored figure seemed to laugh as he shook his head and said, "If you can pull out 3 thorns, I can tell you a secret about the ancient ones." 1. Wang Lin couldn't fathom the thoughts of the seven-colored figure. He had spent great amounts of effort to observe Qing Shui since birth to force Qing Shui to remain in a state of grief and despair. In the end, he set this formation in order to harvest the slaughter essence. However, from what Wang Lin had seen the seven-colored figure do and say, it seemed he didn't care at all. This caused Wang Lin to guess his previous speculations. The indifference in the seven-colored figure's tone didn't seem fake in Wang Lin's view. He really didn't care. What is he doing this for? While Wang Lin pondered, he grabbed the second thorn in Qing Shui's throat and pulled. As he pulled, Wang Lin felt like all the muscles in his body were being pulled indefinitely. He had felt this pain when he drew the bow earlier, and it was something he could endure. Wang Lin mercilessly pulled out the second thorn. Qing Shui clenched his teeth and let out a muffled groan. Sweat covered his body as he endured the unimaginable pain. Wang Lin's face was deathly pale as his right hand grabbed the third thorn on Qing Shui's left arm. This third thorn and the fourth thorn on his right arm are sealing his divine sense, the seven-colored figure said with a calm voice. Wang Lin let out a roar as he grabbed the third thorn and pulled. His divine sense was hit by a powerful force from the third thorn. It felt like his divine sense was seriously injured after it had spread out. Wang Lin coughed out a mouthful of blood and then pulled out the third thorn with a fierce expression. He didn't hesitate to grab the fourth thorn in Qing Shui's right arm and mercilessly pull. Wang Lin's injured divine sense was hit by the powerful force once more. His mind rumbled and he coughed out blood again. The rejection force in his body surged, causing his body to tremble constantly. Qing Shui's arm fell, and he looked up at Wang Lin. It seemed his gaze couldn't see the seven-colored figure, only Wang Lin. There was sorrow, relief, and excitement in that gaze. Wang Lin wiped away the blood from the corner of his mouth and smiled at Qing Shui. However, soon, his eyes narrowed. Qing Shui's gaze reflected Wang Lin's surroundings. Wang Lin could only see himself but not the seven-colored figure. "He can see me, only you can see me here. You are a very interesting spirit cultivator, just like that little cultivator Zhan who surprised me. All exceptions created here. If it wasn't for the fact that I am confident you have nothing to do with me, I wouldn't believe that creation could be so wondrous." The seven-colored figure sighed. He said, "I am not related to him. What does that mean, the person named Zhan? Is he talking about the dead Zhan Kongli or old ghost Zhan?" Wang Li didn't look at the seven-colored figure. His eyes lit up and he slowly asked, "What do you mean by Mo Yi's 3,000 drops of blood?" The seven-colored figure smiled and looked at Wang Lin. He began to speak with a hint of reminiscence. At the start, there was no cultivator from the ancient country, let alone ancient Yimo, but he still came. Before his death, he scattered 3,000 drops of his blood. 1,000 became ancient gods, 1,000 became ancient devils, and 1,000 became ancient demons. As the years passed, the 3,000 drops of blood fused or diluted. That is the origin of your 3 ancient clans here. Wang Lin's mind trembled. He couldn't believe this person's words completely, but it was extremely similar to what the ancient demon soul inside the drum had said in the demon spirit land. Ancient demon Bei Luo once said that the Ancient One was the first generation of heaven-defying cultivators. He died fighting the heavenly Tao, and later, the ancient gods, ancient demons, and ancient devils appeared. The 3 ancient clans were the second generation of heaven-defying cultivators. Although it was not the same as what the seven-colored figure said, If the two were combined, a clear image would appear. Ancient Yimo was lured here by the ancient celestial emperor, or the seven-colored figure here. That battle was the ancient battle where the Ancient One battled the heaven that was mentioned by Bei Luo. The 3,000 drops of blood eventually turned into the 3 ancient clans. Those drops that fused became the royal bloodlines. Just how much of this is true? Wang Lin took a deep breath. 1. I am officially changing ancient order greater than ancient ones for better flow when reading. Leo's birthday has passed. Thank you all for your blessings, your praise. Leo will continue to strive, producing increasingly captivating chapters. Brothers, keep your sharp tongue sheathed, stored away carefully. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1559. Thanks. The seven-colored figure slowly said, there are still 6 more sealing thorns. You can continue. Wang Lin silently pondered and suppressed the thought in his mind. His right hand reached out for the 5th thorn. This was located at the dantian. This 5th thorn is sealing his origin. The seven-colored figure's ethereal voice echoed in Wang Lin's ears. The moment Wang Lin touched the thorn, his celestial and ancient powers surged at once. It was as if his body was going to be broken. As the 2 forces rushed into his right arm, he mercilessly pulled out the thorn. A thunderous bang rang out when he pulled out the thorn. However, Wang Lin's body trembled and popping sounds came from his right arm. Blood mist gushed out, and he retreated a few steps before he stabilized himself. With bloodshot eyes, Wang Lin walked up to Xianxia. Xianxia's face was filled with extreme pain and muffled groans were escaping his mouth. After approaching Xianxia, Wang Lin didn't hesitate to grab the 6th and 7th thorns that were in Xianxia's legs. Without waiting for the seven-colored figure to speak, Wang Lin let out a roar. Golden light flashed from Wang Lin's arms and ancient power filled them. While covered in blood, he pulled hard with both hands. Even someone as strong as Xianxia could no longer endure the pain, but his miserable scream was suppressed into a hiss. With a bang, both thorns were pulled out by Wang Lin. Now blood was flowing out from the corner of his mouth. However, the rejection force inside Wang Lin had reached a peak, causing his face to become distorted. Not bad, there are 3 more left. However, these last 3 thorns are not easy to remove. If you can remove them, I will give you a gift. The seven-colored figure was calm and reached out at the 7-colored cloud in the sky. The cloud trembled and a giant, yellow fruit formed and slowly descended. There was still a branch connected to the fruit. The 7-colored figure cut the branch and the fruit fell down. This is a gift for you. Wang Lin looked at the Dao fruit and frowned. The 7-colored figure gave him the same feeling as the all-seer. He couldn't guess this person's intent. This person had allowed him to save Xianxia, told him the secret of the Ancient Ones, and even gifted him a Dao fruit. All of this couldn't be done for no reason. There had to be a problem. Wang Lin silently pondered before withdrawing his gaze from the Dao fruit. He looked at the 8th thorn that was inches from the area between Xianxia's eyebrows. Wang Lin could see the other 2 thorns, but they would not be easy to remove. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin's right hand rose up slowly and reached toward Xianxia's head. This time he was very slow and much more serious than his previous actions. This 8th thorn was located at the head, which was the intersection of life and death. If it was dead center between Xianxia's eyebrows, it would make sense, but it was off by a few inches, which confused Wang Lin. This 8th thorn is not a thorn, but something placed there to break open his reincarnation. The 7-colored figure seemed to be smiling as he watched Wang Lin's hand slowly close in on the 8th thorn. Wang Lin's hand paused for a moment when it was 1 inch from the thorn. This thorn was different from the other 7. Although they were also embedded in Xianxia's body, most of the other thorns were outside. However, this 8th thorn was mostly inside Xianxia, with only 2 inches of it outside. 2 inches was very short. Wang Lin's hand couldn't stop, but he didn't know what would happen to Xianxia once he pulled it out. His position was simply too dangerous. Xianxia slowly looked up and looked at Wang Lin. Although his face was filled with pain, his eyes were clear. He looked at Wang Lin for a long time, and then nodded. Wang Lin looked at Qing Shui and clenched his teeth. He didn't hesitate any longer and grabbed the 8th thorn. The moment Wang Lin grabbed the thorn, the pain caused Qing Shui to let out muffled roars. When Wang Lin touched the thorn, distorted memories entered his mind, putting him in a state of chaos. The large influx of images caused Wang Lin's mind to feel swollen and painful. He couldn't look at the memories in detail. His hand grabbing the 8th thorn mercilessly pulled it out 4 inches. Qing Shui clenched his teeth and still didn't let out a violent roar. He held on and muffled hisses came out from between his teeth. A few short breaths felt like an eternity for Wang Lin and Qing Shui. The memories that entered his mind almost drove him mad, but he didn't let go. He slowly pulled the thorn out more and more. In the end, the thorn that was stabbed into Qing Shui's head was pulled out by Wang Lin. When the thorn was pulled out, blood flowed from Qing Shui's mouth. He was freed from the mountain. He fell toward Wang Lin, and Wang Lin caught him. His head laid on Wang Lin's shoulder. His body was so weak that Wang Lin almost couldn't feel his weight. Wang Lin could only hear his faint words. Thanks. After he said this, Qing Shui passed out. Senior brother Wang Lin threw away the thorn in his hand and held Qing Shui. Tears flowed down from his eyes. Not bad. However, the last 2 thorns are much more difficult than the previous ones. Forget it. Take this and leave. The 7-colored figure waved his hand and the Dao fruit flew toward Wang Lin. I said I was going to gift this to you, so you can take it. Wang Lin held Qing Shui and accepted the Dao fruit. He looked profoundly at the 7-colored figure as he put away the Dao fruit. He took Qing Shui and flew toward the exit of the 7-colored realm. Wang Lin felt a powerful sense of dread toward the 7-colored figure. He didn't know why the 7-colored figure had done all this. As he pondered, he stopped just before leaving and turned toward the 7-colored figure in the distance. Why? Wang Lin's voice was hoarse as he asked the question. He is just a game. If you want to save him, then just take him away. As for why, I want to see if spiritual cultivators can go through the wonderful change that little boy Zhan went through. If they get lucky, perhaps I can use this to find him. What are you looking for? Wang Lin frowned. He couldn't really understand what this person was saying. If you can encounter it, you will know. The 7-colored man smiled and waved his right hand. Wang Lin's body retreated outside of his control. Shock filled Wang Lin's eyes as his body gradually left the 7-colored realm. As Wang Lin departed, he asked the last question. Are you the celestial sovereign? I am, and also not, the faint voice chode. Wang Lin appeared inside the brilliant void star system. Then the rift to the 7-colored realm slowly disappeared. His body regained its freedom, but what had happened left a deep impression on him. He seemed to vaguely understand something, but it left him more confused. What is he looking for if the little Zhan cultivator he was talking about is old Ghost Zhan? Then what amazing change happened to old Ghost Zhan? This change would allow the 7-colored person to find what he is looking for. While silently pondering, Wang Lin retreated and looked at the 7-colored realm that had disappeared. The matter with Qing Shui is only a game. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He held Qing Shui and arrived at an abandoned planet near the Alliance headquarters. There were no cultivators or spiritual energy on this planet, only some beasts. However, for Wang Lin, this was the best place to remove the seal on Qing Shui. Wang Lin sat inside a valley in this planet and placed the unconscious Qing Shui before him. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes in an attempt to suppress the intense rejection force inside his body. However, it was very difficult, and in the end he only softened the intense pain. There were countless thorns buried in his flesh. Although they couldn't be seen, the pain he felt with every breath he took would remind Wang Lin of their existence. The cost of saving Qing Shui was very high. However, even if Wang Lin could choose again, he would do it again without hesitation, even if it didn't line up with his plan, even if this was very stupid. The reason he had waited this many years to save Qing Shui was because with his cultivation level back then, he had no chance at all, so he wouldn't be able to save Qing Shui. However, with his current cultivation level, he had a chance to save Qing Shui. If he still waited until he had a better chance, waited until he became a third-step cultivator, waited until he had enough strength, he wouldn't know if Qing Shui was still alive. Sometimes, if one calculated everything clearly, every possible gain or loss, that kind of person would never know what emotions were. Even though he knew the danger, he still had to go. If it was Qing Shui, Wang Lin knew that with Qing Shui's personality, Qing Shui would do the same. He would save Wang Lin. This was enough. It was a very simple reason and a very direct choice, but how many people could do this? Life was precious. But sometimes there were things more important than life. However, very few people still believe this. Wang Lin was not a gentleman or a ruthless cultivator. He was a person with flesh, blood, and emotions. Leo truly didn't realize today was May 20th. Leo's already married, not caring about this day at all. Truly no intention. Truly no intention. I'm already married. Yes, just like that. CHIRP, CHIRP, CHIRP. Chapter 1560, Strong Wine. Fortunately, both of them were this type of person. The ninth thorn was within his spine. It was completely buried within his spine, and not an inch was sticking out. There wasn't even a wound. It was as if it was just hiding in a void inside his body. The unconscious Qing Shui's face was still twisted from pain, but there was a hint of relief and joy on his face. His sense of relief was because of Wang Lin, and his sense of joy was also because of Wang Lin. After a brief moment of cultivation, Wang Lin's exhaustion dissipated a bit. He took a deep breath and lifted the unconscious Qing Shui with his back facing toward himself. Wang Lin's eyes were like lightning as he stared at Qing Shui's thin back. Qing Shui's spine was swollen. It was a shocking image. After a long time, Wang Lin's expression became serious. He raised his right hand and his index finger slowly moved down along Qing Shui's spine, as if he was looking for something. Wang Lin's eyebrows were locked tight as if he was thinking of something. Fortunately, it hasn't completely fused with his spine. If even more time had passed, this thorn would have completely used with his spine. Then it could never be removed, sealing his body and his origin soul. Even if the body was changed, it would still be there. Wang Lin's index finger suddenly stabbed into the first section of Qing Shui's spine. Qing Shui's body trembled and he opened his eyes. He clenched his teeth so the sound of his pain wouldn't come out. Wang Lin softly said, "Senior brother, the pain of this ninth thorn will be even more intense than the previous 8 combined. I have suffered throughout my entire life. I am already used to it." Qing Shui's voice was hoarse, but it was extremely calm. There was a hint of sorrow in Wang Lin's eyes. After letting out a sigh, he no longer hesitated and softly said, "Endure." As he spoke, his right hand pierced through Qing Shui's flesh toward the spine. Wang Lin's finger gripped the thorn. A weak thorn was being held by Wang Lin's fingers. Qing Shui's face became deathly pale and cold sweat secreted out. However, he clenched his teeth and turned this pain into the flame of hatred that burned in his eyes. Wang Lin pinched the weak thorn and slowly pulled it out. This was like extracting bone marrow. Very few people could endure this pain. Wang Lin's expression was extremely serious and didn't allow his fingers to tremble at all. He pinched the thorn and slowly pulled it out. Every inch he pulled out would cause Qing Shui to let out a muffled groan. Qing Shui's hand gripped the ground hard and dug out a deep hole. Wang Lin couldn't see Qing Shui's expression. All of his focus was on his fingers. He slowly pulled up and always maintained a gentle speed. He didn't dare to be too violent. Although this soft thorn hadn't fully integrated with Qing Shui's spine, a majority of it has, so he had to be careful. Time passed. The ninth thorn was very long. After 15 minutes, Wang Lin had pulled out most of it. Sweat covered his forehead, but he ignored the sweat and focused on the thorn. The thorn that was pulled out was completely black, and drop of black blood fell on the ground, making sizzling sounds. "Pull the rest out at once." Qing Shui's calm voice squeezed through his teeth and entered Wang Lin's ears. Wang Lin silently pondered. An instant later, his right hand mercilessly pulled the thorn out from Qing Shui's spine. Black blood sprayed out and Qing Shui coughed out a mouthful of black blood. His back bulged out and then slowly returned to normal. Intense breathing came from Qing Shui's mouth, and it took a long time for his breathing to calm down. His hands formed a seal, and he began to cultivate. Wang Lin's face was pale, and after throwing away the thorn, he also closed his eyes to cultivate. When he pulled out the ninth thorn, he also suffered the same pain, as if his bone marrow was also being extracted. Although it wasn't as strong as Qing Shui's pain, it was still very strong. After half an hour, Wang Lin opened his eyes. Wang Lin softly said, "Senior brother, the last one. Qing Shui slowly exhaled and turned around to face Wang Lin. He silently looked at his junior brother from the past. When he saw that tired expression and the dried red blood, a hint of softness appeared in his eyes. "You've grown up," Qing Shui revealed a smile. The junior brother before him was no longer the little cultivator that needed his protection, but an extremely powerful individual that could shake the entire star system. Wang Lin looked at Qing Shui and smiled. Although this smile was filled with exhaustion, it revealed his true sense of happiness. "Do you have any wine?" Qing Shui waved his hands. His body had been confined for many years, so now it felt somewhat strange. Wang Lin nodded and his right hand reached at the void. His storage space appeared, and a wine jug flew out. Qing Shui laughed and grabbed the wine jug. He took a big gulp and the spicy feeling spread across his body. He let out a big breath and then handed the wine jug to Wang Lin. After Wang Lin took it, he also took a big gulp and the spicy feeling spread across his body as well. The two looked at each other and began to laugh. Their laughter was filled with joy. It was very rare for the both of them to laugh so heartily. "After this thorn is removed, my cultivation will be restored and will be increased greatly." Slaughter essence as Qing Shui spoke. There was a hint of sorrow in his eyes, but he buried it deep within him. He took the wine jug from Wang Lin and took another gulp. "Come, take out the last thorn." Qing Shui put down the wine jug and his eyes shined. This gaze made Wang Lin feel like he was looking at the Qing Shui from the past. Wang Lin looked at the swollen veins on Qing Shui's body and slowly said, "The last thorn has penetrated all your blood vessels in your body. I fear this is the longest one. I remember that this thorn entered from here." Qing Shui raised his right hand to point at his chest where his heart was. As he pointed, a bloody hole opened and revealed the blue blood vessels within. After taking a deep breath, Qing Shui pinched without hesitation and dragged the blood vessel out from the wound. Although he looked calm, the contraction of his pupils revealed how painful it was. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he waved his right hand. He cut off the blood vessel that Qing Shui had pulled out. Just as blood was about to spray out, Wang Lin placed a seal on one end to stop the blood, and his finger went into the other end. It seemed like Wang Lin had caught something and pulled. Qing Shui's body trembled like it never had before. His face that had somewhat recovered instantly turned pale, but he clenched his teeth. He stared at his chest and the purple thorn that Wang Lin was pulling out from his blood vessel. The thorn was soft like a snake, and the part that was being pulled out was still wiggling. Every time it wiggled, even more cold sweat would appear on Qing Shui's forehead. He grabbed the wine jug and took another big gulp. When he took that gulp, Wang Lin pulled hard, and 7 feet of the thorn was pulled out. Qing Shui's face turned blue and his body trembled. Faint roars came out of his throat. He stared at the sky and the anger burned once more in his eyes. The intense pain caused him to crush the wine jug, causing wine to splatter everywhere. "Wang Lin, do you have wine?" Wang Lin's left hand reached at the void, and a green gourd appeared. This wasn't tea wine, but the dragon blood the old vermilion bird had given him. This blood was fierce. Qing Shui took the jug and took a gulp. He sucked in a breath of cold air and smiled. "A bit fishy, but still sweet. What kind of wine is this?" "This is clearly blood, but this blood wine is strong enough." Wang Lin pulled the entire thorn out. Wang Lin's gaze became serious, and he mercilessly pulled the thorn out. The veins all over Qing Shui's body bulged and gathered toward his chest. As Wang Lin pulled, Qing Shui's frozen cultivation loosened. A slaughter aura spread into the air, causing black clouds to cover the sky. The slaughter aura was extremely dense at this moment. Black snow began to fall from the clouds, covering the earth. "Take a break, I'll do it myself." There was a flash of coldness in Qing Shui's eyes and he stood up. He took another mouthful of the wine before his left hand grabbed the purple thorn and mercilessly pulled. There was a thunderous bang and the bulged veins all over his body moved violently. A lot of the purple thorn was pulled out. "You have sealed his celestial lord for so long, now get the hell out here for this celestial lord." Qing Shui's voice was cold, as if he didn't care about the pain. He grabbed the last piece of the purple thorn and the thorn snapped. The part connected to his blood vessel wanted to shrink back in, but Qing Shui didn't even look at it. He threw away the other half and his fingers moved like a sword toward his blood vessel. A shocking amount of slaughter essence surged out into his blood vessel. "Since you don't want to leave, then die inside this Lord's body." Just as Xianxia's fingers descended, the black snow fell even more rapidly. The slaughter essence that even shocked Wang Lin rushed out from Xianxia's fingers into his body. Popping sounds echoed inside his body, and a miserable roar seemed to come from the bulged veins before calming down. It seemed the thorn that looked like it was alive was instantly killed by Xianxia's slaughter essence. Xianxia's body trembled, and he coughed out a mouthful of black blood. His thin body began to grow, and he recovered to his original appearance. At this moment, the slaughter essence inside his body erupted, and the sky turned dark. As the black snow fell, a phantom door appeared. The Void Gate. Leo continues to read, "Today is Monday," wishing for just a few more likes and followers for the VIDEO channel. Chapter 1561. Emotional Injury, Gifted Treasure. Entering the third step with the slaughter essence doesn't require the help of Joss Flames. The slaughter essence inside Xianxia was planted by the seven-colored figure but was not taken away. Instead, most of it remained inside Xianxia, so when the seal was removed, it triggered the Void Gate. Wang Lin immediately analyzed the situation. However, why didn't the seven-colored figure take the slaughter essence? What is his purpose? Was he not after the slaughter essence like I thought? If not for the slaughter essence, what the hell did he do it for? What does he want from senior brother Xianxia? Wang Lin's eyes shined. The more he thought, the more he felt like something was wrong. Then a thought suddenly flashed into his head. He remembered the thorn that was stuck through Xianxia's head that was off by several inches. The area between the eyebrows is the intersection of life and death, but the thorn was several inches off. The seven-colored figure said that this would open reincarnation. Reincarnation is ethereal. Could the purpose of the seven-colored figure be for senior brother Xianxia to enter reincarnation through the slaughter essence? But even so, what's the use? There was also that remark where he said that he was certain I have no relation with him. Does that mean there is some connection between him and senior brother Xianxia? If so, what's the connection? The more Wang Lin thought, the more he felt like he had grasped something, but it was still unclear. Ever since he met Greed in the Fallen Land and obtained the seven-colored statue, Wang Lin had faintly grasped the layer of fog. Behind this fog stood a grand secret regarding the inner and outer realms. Wang Lin still couldn't see through that secret due to this fog. It wasn't until the battle against the outer realm in the Cloud Sea, the exchange between the Sovereign and Old Ghost John, that Wang Lin began to speculate once more. From Wang Lin's view, the repeated wars between the inner and outer realm was connected to the secret hidden by this fog. What is the seven-colored figure is looking for? Wang Lin thought about the crystal inside the black tortoise's back that was taken by him. A thunderous rumble interrupted Wang Lin's thoughts. He looked up and saw Xianxia point at the Void Gate. The gate rumbled and showed signs of opening. Staring at the Void Gate, Wang Lin revealed longing. He wanted to become a third-step cultivator. Only with a high enough cultivation level would he be qualified to know the secret behind the fog and revive Li Muan. Life and death, karma, true and false. I must complete these three essences. It shouldn't be far. Wang Lin's eyes were like lightning, and he was filled with confidence. Now that I have 2 Dao fruits, with one more, I'll be 90% confident in succeeding. The third step is close. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and Xianxia laughed as he charged at the Void Gate. He waved his hand, and a monstrous slaughter essence appeared. Large amounts of black snow gathered before him and formed a long sword. He grabbed the sword and slashed down at the Void Gate. Today, this celestial lord will complete my Dao, break the Void Gate, and enter the path of the Grand Dao. The might of this sword was heaven-shaking. It formed a black storm that rushed at the Void Gate. The black storm instantly closed in on the Void Gate, and the entire abandoned planet trembled. The rumble echoed across the entire planet. Fine cracks appeared on the Void Gate when the storm smashed into it. Before it even opened, it was opened by force. Wang Lin took a deep breath as he looked at Xianxia. The slaughter essence inside Xianxia was extremely powerful, far stronger than any other essence Wang Lin had seen. This force, this aura, was extremely shocking. A small part of the Void Gate was broken by Xianxia and pushed inwards. A soft light appeared from within and shrouded him. This light had no color and had filled the sky. The light gathered on Xianxia, then his aura began to become stronger rapidly. Soon, the aura of an early-stage Nirvana Void cultivator appeared. This aura contained slaughter, and countless phantoms appeared around Qing Shui. There were countless phantoms. They were all people Qing Shui had killed. These endless phantoms all trembled as they looked at Qing Shui. They seemed to be screaming, but no sound came out. Under the silent screams, these phantoms all knelt down while trembling and began worshipping Qing Shui. However, there was one figure that didn't kneel but looked at Qing Shui with a gentle smile. It was a woman. Qing Shui looked at the woman and 2 streams of tears fell. He stretched out his right hand. The woman's smile became even brighter, and she began to slowly walk toward him. The woman got closer and closer until she was before Qing Shui and was being hugged by Qing Shui. Tears flowed from Qing Shui's eyes as he looked at the woman in his arms and wept in pain. He was a celestial lord, a third-step cultivator with a slaughter essence that didn't even cry when enduring the imaginable pain of having the 10 thorns being pulled out. But at this moment, when Qing Shui hugged this woman, he cried. He was like a mortal holding on to the woman as more and more tears flowed. He hugged her very tightly, as if he was worried that she would disappear and leave him forever. The woman bit her lower lip, and her eyes seemed to become watery as she smiled. However, these tears were only illusory, as souls didn't have tears. You could see her cry, but there was no trace of tears. This was the sorrow of a soul. The woman silently smiled and silently cried in Qing Shui's embrace. She slowly raised her right hand toward Qing Shui's face to wipe away his tears, but she couldn't touch him. The sadness in Qing Shui's eyes would cause your heart to ache. He also raised his left hand to touch her hair, but he also couldn't touch her. He watched the woman slowly go through his arms and retreat as if something was pulling her body. Her body was like smoke, just like her name, one, and was about to disappear. Hi! Qing Shui let out a heaven-shaking roar. At this moment, he had forgotten that he had broken open the void gate, forgotten everything. At this moment, the only thing in his eyes was this woman. His wife, Han Yan. In order to retrieve his wife's belonging, he had destroyed the entire slaughter realm. His love for his wife was his world, his joy, and also the source of his pain. His wife had appeared because he had broken open the void gate and completed his slaughter essence. However, seeing that she was going to disappear once more, he let out a mournful roar. He rushed forward. He wanted to keep his wife's soul. Even if didn't reach the 3rd step, even if he had to give up everything, he would keep this soul. Even if this soul was incomplete, even if it was just a weak projection created by the void gate. However, the woman's figure went further and further. There were no tears in her eyes, but the sadness on her face was something you could never forget. Even with all this sorrow, she still smiled and silently looked at Qing Shui. Wang Lin looked at all of this, and silently reached at the void. A rift appeared in the void, and more than 10 ancient leaves appeared. He didn't know if it would help Qing Shui, but he had to try. The moment the ancient leaves appeared, Wang Lin formed millions of restrictions, increasing the power of the ancient leaves. Wang Lin waved his sleeves and pointed at the woman that was dissipating. The 10+ ancient leaves shot forward. Wang Lin clenched his teeth before he bit the tip of his tongue and spat out golden blood. This blood had the power of his bloodline, the blood of celestials. The moment the golden blood appeared, celestial spiritual energy shrouded the ancient leaves, causing them to become golden. They flew past Qing Shui, surrounded the woman, and sealed. The woman's body suddenly stopped. The golden aura shrouded her, and more than 10 ancient leaves shot toward her. They turned into a seal and solidified her body. Qing Shui grabbed the woman. Tears flowed down his face, and he murmured some words to her. The woman also silently held Qing Shui, and this seemed to last for an eternity. After a long time, Qing Shui raised his head and he waved his hand. An ancient hairpin appeared. This was what his wife had left behind, and what he had taken back from the slaughter realm. He slowly put the hairpin in the woman's hair. As he looked at the woman, the sadness in his eyes became even stronger. A moment later, he turned to look at Wang Lin. The gratitude in his eyes was indescribable. His left hand reached at the void, and the black sword he had used to break open the void gate appeared. He shook it, and then all the kneeling souls beside the woman were absorbed by the black sword. An extremely powerful slaughter essence erupted from the sword and swept across the world. Wang Lin, This sword is formed from my broken void gate. It helped me open the void gate and contains the aura of the void. It also contains my life of slaughter and my soul. It is formed by my slaughter essence. I gift it to you. If you refine it, you will have the slaughter essence. Qing Shui threw the black sword toward Wang Lin, and it floated before him. The slaughter aura coming it even shocked Wang Lin. This sword was a complete slaughter essence. This sword could be said to be Qing Shui's most powerful treasure, and his first essence treasure. Not all third-step cultivators could form an essence treasure when they break the void gate. These people were extremely rare. The Fire Sparrow clan ancestor, esteemed Nan Zhao, esteemed teacher Tian Zhao, Zhou Jin, Ling Dong, none of them could do it. Not even Master Hong Shan and Master South Cloud could do it. This showed just how precious this treasure was. 1. Her name means smoke. Leo has a nasal inflammation, and a cold again. My nose is just like a running faucet, frustrated. Chapter 1562, Summoned River. The void gate broke and the power flowed out. Qing Shui turned the soul of his wife Han Yan into a mark and placed it near his heart. It wasn't that he couldn't put her in his storage space, but Qing Shui was unwilling. Qing Shui was determined to give that slaughter sword to Wang Lin, so Wang Lin put it away. A sliver of slaughter essence was born within Wang Lin during the first battle against the outer realm. However, this essence was very weak and had just been born. With this slaughter sword, Wang Lin would have 6 essences. As for the battle mark that was not an essence, it had long turned into the Star of Law and was engraved deep inside Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin didn't intend to immediately refine the slaughter essence. It was not the time. He was going to wait for his karma, life and death, and true and false essences to be complete. Then, when he is about to open the void gate, he will absorb the slaughter essence and break open the void gate in one fell swoop to become an extremely rare third-step cultivator with 6 essences. Qing Shui descended from the sky and looked at the dissipating void gate. His right hand reached out at the void and grabbed the green gourd with the dragon blood wine. He drank a mouthful, and as the spicy taste spread across his body, his eyes slowly turned cold. He passed the wine jug to Wang Lin. The two looked at the dissipating void gate on the abandoned planet while facing the cold wind. The wind kicked off layers of dust as the two silently drank wine. No one spoke. Wang Lin didn't ask Qing Shui if he had found the answer he wanted inside the 7-colored realm in the Alliance. Qing Shui didn't speak, only he understood what he had found and comprehended. However, in the end, the more he realized, the more he silently pondered. Again, there was a flash of coldness in Qing Shui's eyes, but there was a hint of bitterness on his face. He took the wine jug from Wang Lin and took a gulp before he laughed. Wang Lin, promise me one thing. Qing Shui's laughter was filled with determination as he looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't speak, but nodded. If one day I die, if I still have a complete corpse, take my body and bury me in my hometown. Don't leave any name on the tombstone. A clean burial is the best for me. Qing Shui looked at the sky. Wang Lin silently pondered. After a long time, he said, if there is no hometown, then bury me in the world. Qing Shui drank a mouthful of dragon blood. Some of the blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth and gave off a red light when the sunlight shined on it. Okay. Wang Lin took the wine jug from Qing Shui's hand and took a drink. His expression became serious, and his eyes lit up. If I die before you, send me back to planet Suzaku, country of Zhao Wang family. Qing Shui looked at Wang Lin and slowly nodded. This was a promise. The dragon blood wine was very fierce and could intoxicate most, but it couldn't make Wang Lin or Qing Shui drunk. The void gate started to dissipate when there wasn't much wine left. Qing Shui closed his eyes. Looking a bit lonely, he softly said, Wang Lin, I have never asked you before, do you have any descendants? I have a son. There was sorrow in Wang Lin's eyes. He drank a mouthful of the little remaining dragon blood wine. The wine was no longer spicy in his stomach, but turned into a stinging pain. I have a daughter. Qing Shui opened his eyes, revealing a sense of reminiscence within them. It was bitter. However, I can find her. Perhaps she is no longer around anymore and is gone forever. Qing Shui recalled the past filled with sorrow. At the moment he became sober and was holding the corpse of his wife. There was a little girl 7 or 8 years old howling in the distance among the bloody wreckage. She was holding a dead crane and looking at him and her mother with hollowed eyes. Perhaps she has already entered reincarnation and is a different person. However, I left a red mark on her shoulder at her birth, and that mark will always stay with her. If you see such a girl, take care of her for me. The phantom gate in the sky disappeared completely. Qing Shui stood up and let out a deep breath. Coldness appeared in his eyes. Wang Lin, I want to kill. Qing Shui raised his right hand and an extremely powerful slaughter essence erupted from his body. It gathered in his right hand, and in a flash his right hand was surrounded by a black and chilly aura. The chilly aura spread out and caused the entire abandoned planet to become cold. The slaughter essence was an extremely special essence. Very few people possessed this essence, but those who did could easily break open the void gate. This essence was the limit of slaughter. Although Qing Shui was at the early stage of Nirvana Void, thanks to his slaughter essence and his tens of thousands of years spent in battle, even a late-stage Nirvana Void cultivator would fear encountering him. Killing good. Wang Lin stood up and stepped toward the sky. Ripples echoed and he disappeared from the world. Qing Shui also stepped into the ripples Wang Lin had created and disappeared. If the entire brilliant void star system was a lake and what floated in the water were the planets, then right now the ripples on the surface were like 2 fish swimming rapidly through the water. There weren't many outer realm cultivators in the brilliant void. After all, the Alliance was only their temporary headquarters, and most of them had died during the heaven-shaking slaughter earlier. This slaughter was set off by a teacher and his disciple. With Master Long Pan's cultivation level, hardly any outer realm cultivators could survive. However, Master Long Pan's goal was the summoned river, so he didn't stay in the brilliant void. This allowed some fish to run free. 3 outer realm cultivators with marks between their eyebrows were carefully flying through the stars. They didn't dare to move too fast in fear that the fluctuations would attract others' attention. There is no response from the message Jade. I fear everyone else is facing danger. Damn it, what the hell happened? We can go back to the Cultivation Alliance. I fear there is some problem there. Could it be that the inner realm has launched a counterattack? It's best we look for a cultivation planet to hide in until the main army slaughters their way in. As the 3 moved forward, they were sending messages to each other. Just at this moment, 2 ripples passed by, and a monstrous killing intent pierced through the 3 of them. When the 2 ripples passed, the 3 outer realm cultivators trembled, unable to utter a sound. Countless fine cracks appeared on their bodies, and they suddenly collapsed. Their origin souls were torn apart, and they died. Similar scenes could be seen in other places in the brilliant void out heaven and the cloud sea. Shortly after Master Longpan swept through, the remaining outer realm cultivators experienced Qing Shui's madness. The blood flowers bloomed, revealing the beauty of their deaths. The 2 ripples swept across the 3 major star systems and then entered the summoned river. The summoned river was completely occupied by the outer realm cultivators, so there were many outer realm cultivators here. Just as they entered the summoned river, there were a powerful smell of blood. However, this smell of blood couldn't stop these 2 ripples. They quickly moved past, planet by planet. In the end, they charged into the depths of the summoned river, toward the last 7-colored realm. This was where Master Hong Shan's original body was sealed. Among the stars there was a giant rift emitting 7-colored light. Outside the rift floated broken limbs everywhere. Large amounts of dead outer realm cultivators scattered the area. Thunderous rumbles were coming from within the 7-colored realm. There was obviously a fierce battle happening inside. The 2 ripples closed in. The ripple filled with a monstrous killing intent left a trail of ice and shot toward the 7-colored rift. When he arrived, the broken limbs and countless corpses were shrouded in ice and the coldness spread everywhere. As the powerful killing intent ripples closed in on the 7-colored rift, the ripples disappeared and Qing Shui appeared. He entered the 7-colored realm without hesitation. Wang Lin also appeared. He looked a bit tired as he entered the 7-colored realm. Just as Wang Lin stepped into the 7-colored realm in the summoned river, he immediately heard miserable screams. This 7-colored realm was different from the other 2 Wang Lin had seen before. There were several large floating continents forming this 7-colored realm. However, this area was filled with fragments of a continent. Only 3 continents remained. Master Longpan was fighting a black-robed person. As the 2 waved their hands, heaven-shattering rumbles echoed. Wang Lin had seen the old man in black before. This person was the Heaven Punishment Palace's Palace Lord that was trapped by the Lord of the Sealed Realm during the first battle in the Cloud Sea. This person's cultivation level was just below that of the 5 Masters of the Outer Realm, early stage Arcane Void. He hadn't obtained it by destroying his lifespan like Master Long Pan, but had truly reached the early stage of Arcane Void. Tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators were sitting on the 3 floating continents. They were all murmuring a chant. Strands of Joss flames floated into the sky, forming strange creatures that surrounded Master Long Pan. They were attacking together with the Heaven Punishment Palace's Palace Lord. Xianxia had entered a step before Wang Lin. When he appeared, he looked at Master Long Pan and the old man in black before a flash of coldness appeared in his eyes, and he rushed at the tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators. The miserable screams Wang Lin heard when he entered came from those cultivators. Xianxia was killing. After he broke open the Void Gate, his slaughter essence reached completion. He had spent his life in slaughter, and now when he waved his hand, countless died. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he looked past Master Long Pan and the old man in black. He saw that there was a giant Dao fruit hanging down from the 7-colored cloud above. These past few days, without wishing for likes on the video, the like button for the video has quickly fallen to 10th. Urgently wishing for you readers to flip through and see if there's a like button for the video left unpressed. Chapter 1563, The Third Dao Fruit. The Dao fruit was faintly transparent, and one could see a boy covered in red sitting inside it. The boy's face was filled with pain. Countless lines were connected to his body as if they were absorbing nutrients. This boy was Master Hongshan's original body, but he didn't have the heaven-defying bead to absorb the chaotic Dao intent inside. The only result would be his death. Slaughter continued, and waves of miserable screams came from all directions. The strange beasts that were helping the old man in black attack Master Long Pan scattered and shot toward the slaughtering Xianxia. Mere ghosts, you dare to bare your fangs against this lord. There was a flash of coldness in Xianxia's eyes, and he waved his right hand. A black storm filled with slaughter essence formed and shot into the sky. When it closed in on these strange creatures, the storm suddenly exploded. The slaughter essence inside rapidly scattered and swept by those strange creatures. The creatures trembled and crackling sounds echoed. They all turned into pieces of black ice. They were all frozen. Countless black ice thorns appeared inside the ice and pierced these strange creatures. Wang Lin stepped forward. He didn't look at Xianxia slaughtering the Outer Realm cultivators or at Master Long Pan's fight. He instantly arrived below the Dao fruit hanging in the 7-colored cloud. All of this happened in an instant. It had only been a few breaths of time since Wang Lin and Xianxia entered. The Heaven Punishment Palace's Palace Lord turned around and looked at Wang Lin in shock. Lord of the Sealed Realm. There was a flash of killing intent in the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord's eyes. He wanted to retreat to intercept Wang Lin. However, Master Long Pan revealed an indifferent gaze and spread out an ancient aura to block the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord. No victor has been decided between us. With Master Long Pan blocking him, the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord's eyes glinted with a cold light, and he decided to ignore Wang Lin, who was heading toward the Dao fruit. In his view, Wang Lin was only the Lord of the Sealed Realm in name and was far too weak. Attempting to save Master Hongshan was just asking for trouble. At this moment, his hands formed a seal to gather Joss flames, and he began fighting Master Long Pan once more. Wang Lin arrived next to the Dao fruit and looked at Master Hongshan. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he waved his right hand at the Dao fruit. There was a thunderous bang, and a rejection force came from the Dao fruit and landed on Wang Lin, forcing him to retreat a few steps. The light of deduction flashed in his eyes. When the Dao fruit was hit by Wang Lin, the filaments connected to Master Hongshan twisted as if all the force had been transferred to him. Master Hongshan's expression became even more painful, and he opened his eyes, revealing a hollow gaze. Wang Lin stepped forward and waved his hands 6 times. A thunderous rumble echoed, but there seemed to be no change to the Dao fruit. Only Master Hongshan's expression became even more painful and his eyes more hollow. With your mere cultivation, you dare to try to destroy the Dao fruit to save him? Forget you. Not even this old man can destroy it. I want to see how you can save that Master Hongshan. The Sovereign's seal is not something you can break. The more attack, the more you will help the Tao fruit refine Master Hong Shan to become a puppet for my outer realm." When the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord looked over, he sneered. Wang Lin heard the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord's words. He turned around and slowly said, "Is that so?" The Heaven Punishment Palace Lord sneered. He was originally slightly worried that Wang Lin had some special method to break the Tao fruit because of the title Lord of the Sealed Realm. After all, the previous Lord of the Sealed Realm was extremely powerful, and he had a profound memory of him. However, he put away his worry. He was confident that Wang Lin could not break the Tao fruit. His eyes lit up and he continued to fight Master Long Pan while looking toward Qing Shui. The more he watched, the more shocked he became. Slaughter Essence. It is actually the Slaughter Essence. Once they join forces, it will become difficult. I need to escape. While fighting, the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord moved and knocked away Master Long Pan. He stepped toward the exit of the Seven-Colored Realm. If the three of you work together, perhaps you all can really save Master Hong Shan. This old man is leaving. The Heaven Punishment Palace Lord was about to leave when Qing Shui suddenly looked up. He waved his right hand, and black clouds filled with Slaughter Essence spread. Ice began to form, but it didn't attack. Instead, it went toward the exit of the Seven-Colored Realm and sealed it by freezing it in ice. This lord hasn't killed enough. Master Long Pan also formed a seal, and the mountain and river painting appeared to block the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord. He then stepped toward the old man in black. This old man hasn't fought enough, don't be so eager to leave. There was a flash of coldness in the eyes of the old man in black as he looked back at Qing Shui and Master Long Pan. His expression became gloomy and simply gave up on leaving. Instead, he waved his sleeves and his Joss Flame Realm appeared. Since you won't allow this old man to leave, then you will have to pay the price. Master Long Pan silently pondered, and then his right hand formed a seal. The mountain and rivering painting gave off a suction force. The mountains and rivers inside seemed to come to life and suddenly appeared in the Seven-Colored Realm. Master Long Pan took a step forward and disappeared. He fused with the mountain and river painting. The mountains and rivers smashed toward the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord. He had already burned his life force, and now he was attacking without regard for his life. The mountains and rivers turned into a huge palm that burned with Master Long Pan's most powerful cultivation. The palm reached toward the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord. At this moment, Qing Shui raised his head and his right hand formed a seal. He then calmly said, "Dark Moon." The moment he spoke, Qing Shui waved his right hand and pointed at the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord. The seven-colored clouds trembled and dark clouds appeared around the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord. These dark clouds appeared very suddenly, and at the same time a round tattoo appeared on the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord's face. This tattoo looked like a bright moon. Clear sky. A glint of killing intent flashed in Qing Shui's eyes. The bright moon on the old man's face shined brightly like the sun. The light seemed to be trying to destroy the bright moon on the old man's face. Baifan's spell. This is one of Baifan's 6 great spells. Baifan is dead, Yurei Qing Shui. The bright moon on the old man's face became twisted. Normally, with his cultivation level, he would resist this spell by force. However, just as the moon on his face lit up, Master Long Pan's huge palm closed in behind him. Qing Shui stepped forward, and a shocking slaughter essence shot toward the old man in black. With the attacks from both Qing Shui and Master Long Pan, a thunderous rumble echoed across the entire seven-colored realm and a shockwave quickly spread in all directions. The 3 continents collapsed before the shockwave. As the countless fragments were being pushed back, they collapsed once more into dust. The many outer realm cultivators that hadn't been killed by Qing Shui had no place to hide. No matter how powerful of a treasure they took out, they all died to this shockwave. The entire seven-colored realm seemed to be wiped clean and began to collapse on a large scale. The palm formed by Master Long Pan shattered under this impact. Then Master Long Pan's figure appeared and he retreated several dozen feet. He coughed out a mouthful of origin essence and looked weakened, but his eyes were still calm. Qing Shui's body was knocked back as his cultivation was lacking. Although the slaughter essence was powerful, he was still injured. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth, but his expression was extremely cold. The Heaven Punishment Palace Lord coughed out blood, and his body trembled. The countless Joss Flame souls used to block the attack all dissipated. When the moon on his face disappeared, 5 deep cracks replaced it and spread toward his body. Flashes of sunlight came from the cracks, delivering intense pain throughout the old man's body. The slaughter essence raged inside his body. The clothes on his back were broken, and there was a large palm print on his skin. There were mountains and rivers inside that palm print, causing the old man's body to instantly wither. His expression was gloomy as he coldly said, "I can help you save Master Hongshan. We can work together to open the Dao fruit. In exchange for doing this, let me to leave. Otherwise, this old man will risk serious injuries to bury you two here." "There is no need." What answered him was Wang Lin's cold voice. Under the old man's gaze of disbelief, Wang Lin raised his right hand and directly reached into the Dao fruit without arousing any rejection. He grabbed Master Hongshan, who was inside the Dao fruit, and dragged him out. The countless filaments connecting to Master Hongshan collapsed when Wang Lin sent out a shockwave. Master Hongshan's hollow eyes showed signs of awakening. "No one knows the Dao fruit better than me. Not even your sovereign can match me." Wang Lin let go of Master Hongshan and waved at the branch. There was a flash of bloodlight, and the blood sword cut off the branch. Wang Lin caught the Dao fruit and turned to look at the shocked Heaven Punishment Palace Lord. "Impossible!" The Heaven Punishment Palace Lord subconsciously retreated a few steps as he stared at all of this. He couldn't believe that Wang Lin was able to rescue Master Hongshan so easily. Wang Lin put away the Dao fruit in his hand and calmly said, "I have devoured a Dao fruit and absorbed it completely. Lately, Leo has been having half headaches, always seeming to see light waves in the form of lines, affecting my vision, sometimes momentarily half blinded, perhaps too exhausted." Chapter 1564-13. Master Hongshan's eyes became more and more clear. He took a deep breath and popping sounds echoed inside his body. A red mist came out of his pores and formed blood-colored cloth over his body. He looked at Wang Lin and clasped his hands. "Thank you, Lord of the Sealed Realm." He raised his head and turned to look at the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord. His eyes shined with wisdom. "Qing Jiu Yan, even if you burn your cultivation, you won't escape. You will not die. This old man will refine you into a blood puppet, and you will become a great help for my inner realm." After he spoke, Master Hongshan turned into a red shadow and charged ahead. The old man in black was pale. Although he was a third-step cultivator, he was still a cultivator. He was powerless to fight against 4 of them. As Master Hongshan closed in, the old man in black quickly retreated. However, Master Longpan calmly raised his right hand behind the old man in black, and the mountain and river painting blocked the old man's path. Xianxia's expression turned cold, and he pointed at the old man. The 5 cracks on the old man's face began to tear open once more. Dark moon-clear sky was a spell that engraved itself on the enemy, and could continuously erupt with terrifying power. Wang Lin's expression was calm, and the moment the other 3 attacked, his eyes shined. Golden light gathered in his fingertip, and he pointed at the old man in black. "Stop!" This was a battle without any suspense. The 7-colored realm collapsed, and the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord Qing Jiyan was captured and taken away by Master Hongshan. Master Longpan's burning soul stopped burning with the help of Master Hongshan. He left with his disciple Master Zhongshuan to silently wait for the next battle against the outer realm. Master Hongshan invited Wang Lin to the Cloud Sea and used the name of the Lord of the Sealed Realm to ignite the fighting spirit of the inner realm cultivators. Then he led the inner realm cultivators to carry out the final counterattack. Wang Lin didn't go as he had obtained 3 Dao fruits. The most important thing right now was to complete his 3 Daos before the rejection force inside his body exploded. He had to break open the void gate and complete his Dao. Qing Shui left. His green robe fluttered among the stars with a sense of sadness and loneliness. He went to find his daughter. Perhaps he would find her. Perhaps he would never find her in his entire life. However, no matter what, as long as Wang Lin asked, he would come back from the end of the world. There was no need to speak too much between them. The things they experienced together was something Qing Shui wouldn't forget. Among the stars, there were only 2 people Qing Shui still cared about. One of them was his junior brother Wang Lin. Master Hongshan's escape brought joy to the inner realm. The retake of Summoned River gave the remaining inner realm cultivators hope. The death of esteemed teacher Tian Zhao, the addition of Master Long Pan, and the capture of the Heaven Punishment Palace Lord reignited the confidence of the inner realm. There were no 7 colored realms left in the inner realm. After decades of war, the remaining cultivators were all seasoned warriors. They had to fight because once they failed, the only remaining path would be death. Master Hongshan spreading the news that the Lord of the Sealed Realm had returned was the most impactful. This caused the inner realm cultivators to raise their heads, and the flame of battle in their hearts became even more intense. In the brilliant void realm, there was a place near the border between the Cloud Sea and Alheaven. This place quickly developed into a large trading area. Many planets like this appeared at the boundaries of the 4 great star systems. Lots of cultivators from all 4 systems gathered on these planets to trade for the resources they needed. This caused the 4 star systems to slowly fuse together. At this moment, on this planet in the brilliant void called One Spirit, there were cultivators from all 4 star systems. As the cultivators came and went, it was extremely lively. The female cultivators of the Summoned River were the most famous. Although a large amount of them had died, many of them had gained prestige during that counterattack. Although the Summoned River had just been recovered, a large amount of female cultivators from Summoned River returned. The Summoned River showed signs of recovery. The Summoned River had the most female cultivators, and they were all beautiful. The fragrance they gave off made the single male cultivators in the other 3 systems do their best to find themselves Tao partners that would accompany them for the rest of their lives. With female cultivators from the Summoned River present, the city became even more lively. There were some inns in this city that provided a place for cultivation for the cultivators that came. There was a large amount of spirit stones and some celestial jades in every room. Some inns with deep backgrounds had origin crystals to provide origin energy for those old monsters. In the eastern part of this city that covered most of the planet, there was a medium-sized inn. There were many cultivators sitting inside the hall in this inn. Although cultivators didn't have to eat, celestial fruits, wine, or some simple mortal foods would often evoke some memories of the past. The inn was often full. Due to the war with the outer realm, this became a good opportunity to meet all kinds of fellow cultivators. They would learn from each other, and perhaps simple acquaintances would have a chance to meet again on the battlefield in the future. At this moment, there were several cultivators sitting at the table in the northern end of the inn. One was a middle-aged scholar that was smiling and talking to his friends. I have already said before that I knew the Lord of the Sealed Realm, but none of you believe me. On the opposite of the scholar were 2 women who were both beautiful. However, their ages were somewhat different. The woman in a pink robe that was younger became curious. Where did Big Brother Joe meet the Lord of the Sealed Realm? The woman in purple beside her was a bit older. She was already middle-aged. There were traces of time on her face, and she was calmly sitting there and hadn't said a word. Beside the middle-aged scholar was an old man. He smiled and interjected, "Lady Shu, don't he believe fellow cultivator Joe's words? Every time this guy meets female cultivators from the Summoned River like you, he says the same thing. I have almost grown calluses in my ears from listening to him." It was on planet Suzaku. The Lord of Sealed Realm at that time could not match his cultivation today. I remember back then he was still a little core formation cultivator. I didn't think he would become the Lord of the Sealed Realm one day. The middle-aged scholar smiled and ignored the old man's words. His face was filled with emotions. The woman blinked and revealed a hint of interest. She looked at the woman in purple and smiled. "Senior sister, I remember you saying you came from planet Suzaku. Have you met the Lord of the Sealed Realm before?" After she spoke, everyone, including the middle-aged scholar, became silent. They all looked toward the woman in purple with shock and envy. There was also a faint look of respect. Even the nearby cultivators became silent when they heard this. They stopped speaking and looked respectfully at the woman in purple. The middle-aged man that spoke before quickly stood up. He clasped his hands at the woman in purple and said, "I, Zhou Dongde, greet fellow cultivator from planet Suzaku. What I said before was false. I hope fellow cultivator doesn't mind." Not only him, but even the old man and the large amount of surrounding cultivators all clasped their hands to greet her. The cultivators from the Cloud Sea walked up to her and clasped their hands. This kind of occurrence was not common in the 4-star systems, but it had happened several times. The fame of the Lord of the Sealed Realm was not a personal glory, but was obtained through shocking events that happened in the war. In the minds of the inner realm cultivators, the Lord of the Sealed Realm was the soul of the inner realm. The Lord of the Sealed Realm was from the brilliant void, so the brilliant void cultivators were respected by the cultivators from the other 3 systems. Although it wasn't much, it was there. The Lord of the Sealed Realm came from planet Suzaku. It was something all the cultivators knew now. There was naturally respect toward the cultivators from planet Suzaku. However, planet Suzaku was a small place, and very few cultivators could leave it. As a result, it was rare to meet someone who was really from there. However, it was because of this that once one was found to be a cultivator from planet Suzaku, they would be respected greatly. Planet Suzaku had obtained the respect of the entire inner realm due to Wang Lin. The woman in purple seemed to be unaccustomed to this kind of attention, so her face turned slightly red. She raised her jade-like hand to move her hair to side and then greeted all the cultivators that greeted her. She softly replied her junior sister S words. I should have seen him, the woman began to recall, and her words caused everyone to begin to listen. However, I am a bit unsure if the person I met was him, the woman sighed. Senior sister Zhou, quickly tell me. The woman in pink quickly rushed her senior sister. At that time, he was called Ma Liang. At that time, he was only at the foundation establishment stage, and he was very cold and ruthless. He returned to the country of Hu Fen from the foreign battleground. If he was really the Lord of the Sealed Realm, he and Li Muwan should have met there. Li Muwan was my best friend. The woman in purple was a bit unsure as she spoke. The surrounding cultivators all listened seriously. This kind of thing was very rare to hear from a planet Suzaku cultivator. Only a young man in black sat in the distance, occupying a table to himself, drinking silently. His expression was indifferent and he gave off a cold aura, so no one dared to get close. Teacher, where are you? The young man drank wine and looked out at the inn as he recalled the past. However, in an instant, his body trembled and looked at the man in white that had entered the inn. His eyes became filled with disbelief and excitement. These past few days I've always been prodding myself to wish for likes on the VIDEO, but I always forget. Now there are only the last 12 hours left to double the likes for the VIDEO. Tears in the hope of likes. Brothers, don't hold back. Chapter Wailel, fight him to the death. Inside the secret room inside the dragon's head, a rainbow-colored light appeared. More and more lights suddenly gathered until Wang Lin's figure finally came into view. The moment he appeared, Shang Guanmo's heart started beating rapidly. He wondered what kind of technique this fiend was cultivating that would allow him to hide his presence completely. Before, he was wondering if he could use this time to escape Wang Lin's control, but now he didn't dare to have those ideas anymore. Li Muwan touched the dragon's scale as if she was calculating something. The current her looked very graceful and focused as she touched the dragon scale. Even the fluctuations of her soul essence blood didn't affect her. Gradually, a look of understanding appeared in her eyes as she looked at the piece of dragon scale before her. Wang Lin appeared inside the room and sat down in the lotus position before taking out his bag of holding. After killing all those cultivators, there were hundreds of golden cores inside his bag of holding. In addition to this, almost all of the bags of holding of the dead cultivators were taken by Wang Lin. He quickly sorted them all and found that there were a lot of treasures and flying swords. However, besides a scroll, none of them were good enough to catch Wang Lin's eyes. This scroll was about 2 feet long and as thick as his arm. It also emitted a hint of spiritual energy. Wang Lin remembered that it came from a core formation cultivator who had already opened it halfway. There were currently waves of roars coming from the scroll. However, Wang Lin's G-Realm Divine Sense S power wasn't affected by the amount of people. Whether it was one person or a group, once it swept past them, as long as they were below the nascent soul stage, they would die. Toward the G-Realm, Wang Lin still had an indescribable feeling. Under the pressure of the transfer array at the foreign battleground, he clearly felt its existence for the first time and gained a hint of understanding. The following years of use and fighting allowed him to understand the G-Realm's terrifying power. However, he didn't know that the G-Realm's limit was late-stage nascent soul. If he wished to enter the soul formation stage with it, the chances were very low. The original owner of the scroll was already dead, so the divine sense imprinted on it had long since disappeared. Wang Lin had imprinted his divine sense on the scroll, but the weird thing was that there was nothing different about the scroll. It felt the same as before he imprinted his divine sense. Wang Lin quickly revealed a look of interest. If it was a normal treasure, he would have been able to use it freely after wiping out the previous owner's divine sense and imprinting his own. As long as it was not a nascent soul-level treasure, this would always be true. Judging by the spiritual energy fluctuations coming from the scroll, it didn't feel like a nascent soul-level treasure. Wang Lin had a few nascent soul-level treasures himself, one of them being the protective jade given to him by Ho Fen's nascent soul cultivator, Zhou Jin. The most notable feature of nascent soul-level treasures was the powerful spiritual energy fluctuations that they emitted. A core formation treasure could never compare to it. In addition to the jade, there was the flying sword that could teleport. According to his guesses, it was also a nascent soul-level treasure. If he hadn't blood refined it, there was no way he would be able to use it without refining it for a very long time. Thinking about this, he couldn't help but be reminded of the ancient sword sheath. When combined with the flying sword, it could increase the flying sword's power. Even Situ Nan couldn't see through its true nature. It must be at least beyond nascent soul level, maybe a soul formation, or even soul transformation treasure. After all, there wasn't much Situ Nan could see through. Wang Lin let out a sigh. It was destroyed when Teng Huayuan destroyed his bag of holding. Then Wang Lin suddenly realized that something was off. If that treasure was indeed that high quality, then Teng Huayuan shouldn't have been able to destroy it. If it wasn't destroyed, then where could the sword sheath have gone? Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he put down the scroll and suddenly stood up. He walked back and forth for a bit before putting some low-quality materials into a bag of holding. Then he gathered a bit of spiritual energy on his finger and turned the bag to dust. Wang Lin's eyes focused on the bag of holding as it turned to dust. Then, he tried it out a few more times before a hint of understanding appeared in his eyes. Although the bag of holding was destroyed, the items inside it were not. The space inside the bag was like a boundless vault with the bag itself as the lock. Even though the lock was broken, the vault would forever be shut with the items still inside. If he could find a way to open it up again, then it wouldn't be impossible to take back what was inside. Wang Lin pondered for a bit. He then sat down in the lotus position again. Looking at the scroll, it didn't seem to be a nascent soul-level treasure. But Wang Lin couldn't guess why he didn't get the feeling he could control it as he wished after he imprinted his divine sense into it. After thinking for a bit, he suddenly opened the scroll. His expression became serious. The entire scroll was completely black without any pictures on it. Looking at it, Wang Lin suddenly felt a sense of danger coming from the scroll. A pair of triangular eyes on the black paper suddenly opened up. Then a loud roar came from inside the scroll, causing it to shake. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to quickly close the scroll. The roar slowly became softer and softer until it completely disappeared. Sweat covered Wang Lin's forehead. The moment the roar came out, Wang Lin could feel that its power was no less than the dragoness that had died in the Ta Valley. The only difference was that the spiritual energy was trapped inside the scroll. At this moment, he finally understood why he still couldn't use this scroll even after imprinting his divine sense into it. This scroll was only a seal. The real power of this treasure came from the spirit beast trapped inside. After carefully putting away the scroll, Wang Lin began to ponder. After a long time, he took out a golden core from his bag of holding. Its color had already darkened. He pondered for a bit before taking out more than 100 golden cores. All of them were dim, emanating a feeling of death. If it was in the past, Wang Lin would immediately devour them as he got them. But on the way here, Li Muan told him that although devouring golden cores would increase his cultivation level, it would also cause his spiritual energy to become tainted, as well as cause the spiritual energy in his body to become a mess. Also, golden cores had different properties. If too much of the opposite was absorbed, it would make his spiritual energy go crazy, making him lose control and go mad half the time. After hearing this, although Wang Lin was unwilling, he dismissed the idea of consuming them directly. According to Li Muan, eating them would inflict no negative effects if they were first refined through the 5-element method. It was just that this type of refining skill was considered a demonic method, so she had only ever heard of it. Wang Lin pondered a bit before putting all of them into one bag of holding for when he finds the 5-element refining method. Then Wang Lin took out the dragon tendon. With a gentle flick, the devil flew out. The devil flew around the room once before looking at Wang Lin with an aggrieved expression. The red light on the devil was much richer than last time. Wang Lin looked at him with a cold expression and said, "To what degree has your cultivation level recovered?" The devil carefully backed up and said, I have only recovered to the late stage of foundation establishment. If it wasn't for that sword stealing from me, I could have recovered to core formation. Wang Lin sneered and stared at the devil. The devil felt his hair stand up from the stare. He backed up some more and then muttered, I am at the peak of late stage foundation establishment, only one step from the core formation stage. With that, he secretly cursed and thought that if Wang Lin kept pushing him, then he would just go and fight him with all his might. But this was only an idea. The devil believed that even if he gave it his all, he wouldn't get anything good out of it. Wang Lin's eyes became cold, and his hand reached out. The devil let out a scream. He wanted to dodge, but he found formations around him. He could only watch himself be caught and brought toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin searched through the devil's body. Little by little, slivers of red kept appearing until a golden core appeared in the devil's gas-like body. The devil's anger quickly disappeared. He embarrassingly said, What is this? When did I form my core? I must have devoured too much and formed it without realizing. As he spoke, he saw Wang Lin's cold gaze and stopped talking. Wang Lin pondered for a bit before suddenly asking, You recovered your memory? The devil immediately trembled. This was his biggest secret. When he reached the core formation stage, something extra suddenly appeared in his mind, but he didn't dare to tell Wang Lin. Now that he was seen through by Wang Lin, he immediately became scared. He kept thinking inside his heart, should I go out all against him? Fight? No, I don't think I can beat him. I have decided I am going all out. He just had finally made up its mind and was ready to act when he raised his head and saw a red light inside Wang Lin's eyes. He immediately realized that things were getting bad when he suddenly let out a miserable scream from the pain. Green smoke came out of his body and even his golden core shrank. Wang Lin's realm divine sense originally wouldn't be this powerful, but he used to be a soul devourer. The pressure and the abilities of a soul devourer were still there. This made Wang Lin the devil's biggest weakness. After the devil screamed for a while, Wang Lin withdrew his G-realm divine sense. The devil stood there shaking. All traces of resistance were gone. Instead, he revealed an obedient expression. He wasn't afraid of anyone but Wang Lin. If Wang Lin had kept it up for half an hour, then his newly formed golden core would have shattered. Wang Lin calmly said, Spit out all the souls you devoured. 5,000 words in a major chapter. Seizing the moment when brothers and sisters feel comfortable, Lio wishes for the like button for the video, for sharing, for channel follows without hesitation. Chapter 1565. She is Josie Hong. At that time, planet Suzaku was a semi-abandoned planet, and the most powerful cultivator in Hofen was only at the nascent soul stage. The woman's eyes were filled with reminiscence. She had left planet Suzaku a long time ago, but she couldn't forget these memories. As she spoke, almost all the cultivators in the inn began to listen. Some even stepped closer with fascination in their eyes. Planet Suzaku is the hometown of the Lord of the Sealed Realm. He grew up there and slowly stepped toward his glory today. The middle-aged scholar let out a sigh. I am a cultivator from the country of Hufeng, and the country Hufeng faced a disaster which forced us to move to the neighboring country of Xuanwu. The country of Xuanwu was unwilling, so a war between the two countries began. The fighting from the past seemed to flash before the woman in purple. Ma Liang, perhaps he was really the Lord of the Sealed Realm. At the time, he had already left his mark. Even though he was only a foundation establishment cultivator, hundreds of people with the same cultivation level fell to him. The woman in purple's soft voice echoed inside the inn. When she said this, it caused an uproar among the surrounding cultivators. At the foundation establishment stage and killing hundreds of people with same cultivation level. This is almost impossible. There is nothing that is impossible. How can the Lord of the Sealed Realm be someone we can imagine? The lower the cultivation level, the smaller the gap between cultivation levels. Although the gap is not that small, the spells and treasures a foundation establishment cultivator can use are very limited. I didn't expect the Lord of the Sealed Realm to already be so strong then. No wonder he could reverse the tides at the Cloud Sea. As they debated, the man in white that had entered rubbed his nose and went toward the cultivator in black. He smiled gently at the excited cultivator in black and his hand pressed down. He pressed the cultivator in black that was about to get up to kneel down back into the chair. Teacher, the cultivator in black, was 13. His eyes were filled with excitement and his mind was blank. Wang Lin had appeared so suddenly and 13 had no warning. The young man in white was Wang Lin. After dealing with the seven-colored realm and the summoned river, Wang Lin was going to planet Suzaku to pay tribute to his parents. He was going to refine his karma, life and death, and true and false essences there. When he passed by, he sensed 13 and the aura from the ancient demon statue, so he came here. Looking at the grown-up 13, Wang Lin revealed a look of relief. He still remembered when he first met 13 in the demon spirit land. His determination and loyalty, even though more than 1,000 years had passed, 13 was still the same. This child is becoming more and more like me in my early years. Wang Lin let out a sigh. 13's cold aura was very similar to his when he was on planet Suzaku. 13 took a deep breath and was about to speak, but when he saw Wang Lin shake his head, he no longer spoke. However, the excitement and respect in his eyes was intense. For him, Wang Lin was his teacher and his benefactor. His entire life had changed because of Wang Lin. Even if he died, he wouldn't forget what Wang Lin had given him. He was 13, the royal and cold 13. Later, during that war, there was no more news of him. I remember that he was ready to leave the country of Haofen, and I met with him right before the woman in purple said calmly, and the discussions around her calmed down. No one had noticed the young man in white that had walked in. All their attention was attracted by the woman in purple. Later, I faintly heard that he had saved Li Muan and, under the pursuit of a core formation cultivator, entered an extremely dangerous place on planet Suzaku. It was called the Sea of Devils. The woman in purple's voice echoed as she recalled the past. Listening to the woman in purple, Wang Lin picked up a glass and drank a mouthful. His eyes were filled with reminiscence, and he slowly smiled. He remembered Li Muan being hunted by the core formation cultivator, her helpless gaze, and her call for help. 13 picked up the wine jug and poured for his teacher. Core formation cultivator. HM. Is that core formation cultivator still alive? He actually dared to go after the Lord of the Sealed Realm. If he is still alive, his cultivation level can be high. Even if the Lord of the Sealed Realm doesn't care, this old man will refine his soul. That's right. He provoked the Lord of the Sealed Realm, which means he provoked all the cultivators in the 4 great star systems. Lady Zhou, what is the name of that evil cultivator that hunted the Lord of the Sealed Realm? The woman in purple shook her head and softly said, I've forgotten. I never saw the Lord of the Sealed Realm after that. However, hundreds of years later, I heard that a cultivator named Wang Lin shocked planet Suzaku. He was a cultivator from the country of Zhao, and when he was at the foundation establishment stage, he offended a nascent soul cultivator named Teng, who killed his family. It was the first time many of the surrounding cultivators had heard this. They could imagine that the pain the Lord of the Sealed Realm suffered at that time was not something ordinary people could withstand. Then he went back to country of Zhao and did something that shocked planet Suzaku. Rivers of blood flowed in the country of Zhao. It was really rivers of blood. That nascent soul cultivator's entire family was killed. None remained alive. He wasn't a gentleman, but completely vented the hatred from before. Everyone who had the bloodline of the Tang family was killed. Rumors said that the sky of the country of Zhao was blood red. The woman in purple's voice was calm, but the surrounding cultivators could all feel the monstrous killing intent and hatred. They could faintly hear the heaven-shaking roar Wang Lin let out after exacting revenge and completely eradicating the Tang family down to the roots. Wang Lin silently pondered and drank the wine cup by cup. 13 continued to pour. This was the first time he had heard Wang Lin's story, so he had also become silent. Good. This is what should be considered revenge. That little nascent soul Tang cultivator should be killed, but his entire family, some cultivators, seemed to disagree. Oomph. You are not the Lord of the Sealed Realm. How could you experience the sorrow and despair of all your loved ones being killed? This old man doesn't think he went too far. As everyone murmured, the voice of the woman in purple continued to echo. Wang Lin drank all the wine at once. Then he put down the cup and looked into the distance. He was really homesick. He missed his parents and he wanted to go see them. Let's go. Wang Lin stood up and walked out of the inn. 13 left a few spirit stones and followed Wang Lin. I only heard about the past of the Lord of the Sealed Realm. He originally had the chance to become Lord of Planet Suzaku, but in the end he chose to leave on Planet Suzaku. There is a statue of him guarding the planet. As the woman in purple spoke, she seemed to notice something and subconsciously turned to look at the door of the inn. Her gaze passed over 13 and paused on Wang Lin's back. This person is a bit familiar. Wang Lin raised the curtain of the door to the inn and turned his head. He looked at the woman in purple that was looking at him and revealed a smile. He gently shook his head and walked out. 13 followed Wang Lin out of this inn. The woman in purple trembled and was frozen there. The smile of the man in white filled her mind. That image began to overlap with the figure from her past. He is the woman in purple trembled and was filled with disbelief. Her mind was blank, but that smile became more and more clear and profound. It was as if it was going to rush out from her mind. It's him! Senior sister, what's wrong? The woman in pink saw the woman in purple being startled, so she gently pushed a few times. She followed her senior sister's gaze, but only the curtain at the door was gently swaying. Not only her, but all the surrounding cultivators looked over. However, they only saw the curtain swaying gently and nothing else. Nothing. The woman in purple was called Zhou Zihong. She subconsciously moved the strands of her hair behind her ear and continued to speak about her memories. As she spoke, she revealed a melancholy smile and recalled Wang Lin's smile as he turned around. At the top of a high mountain, the wind blew by as if it was trying to topple the mountain. Wang Lin stood there with 13 kneeling on one knee before him. Teacher, 13 is willing to follow you. 13, you re my first disciple, and the one that has followed me the longest. Wang Lin's voice was soft and his gaze toward 13 was very kind. 13 gently nodded and looked at Wang Lin with a hint of attachment in his eyes. To him, Wang Lin was a teacher that was like a father. However, if a bird wants to grow, it needs to face the wind and rain alone, face the might of the world, and overcome the wind and rain to step above the clouds. You have done very well. Wang Lin patted 13's shoulder. But teacher 13 was about to speak when Wang Lin shook his head and interrupted 13. Wang Lin faced 13 and slowly said, 13, my disciple can be a cultivator who stays under my protection. My disciple must have the heart of a heaven-defying cultivator. My disciple must have the determination to fight against the heavens. My disciple must be dragon amongst men, to be above heaven itself. He must attract the admiration of everyone when he says he is my first disciple. Teacher, 13 was excited and nodded. Of course, if anyone dares to bully you, your teacher won't allow it. From today onward, you will create your own path as my first disciple. Wang Lin had spent the most time on 13 among his disciples and had the most attachment toward 13. As he spoke, his right hand patted 13's head. Waking up early today, not updating on time even earlier. Leo went to deal with household chores, unsure what time I'll be back this afternoon. The new chapter tonight might be late. Chapter 1566, The Madman's Roar. An invisible ripple spread in all directions with the two of them as the center. This ripple spread out across the world. Wang Lin turned his comprehension of thunder and fire into a seed and buried it deep within 13. I won't gift you any treasures, only this essence seed. 13's body trembled. When Wang Lin's palm landed on his forehead, a golden seed appeared in his mind. This golden seed contained Wang Lin's comprehension of his complete fire and thunder essences. It was the aura of the third step. This seed also contained Wang Lin's celestial bloodline that's why it was gold in color. This seed was comparable to a heavenly treasure. It was precious enough to cause a catastrophe. Wang Lin was giving it to his first disciple. 13! Teacher is leaving. Wang Lin looked profoundly at 13 and took away the ancient demon statue. He then stepped into the sky and gradually disappeared, just as he was about to completely disappear. He turned his head and looked down at 13 with a gentle gaze as if he was looking at his own child and gently nodded. If you want to do something, do it as long as you can live with your decision. Then no matter how big of a disaster you cause, teacher is here. You should find a woman you like. Don't be like me. 13 bit his lip and tears appeared in his eyes. He silently watched his teacher leave and kowtowed 9 times. Wang Lin silently walked among the stars. He had come alone and left alone. After more than 2,000 years, he was used to this loneliness and used to looking at the bright stars by himself. He was used to breathing and savoring this unspeakable sense of loneliness by himself. He had long become used to this. He didn't immediately absorb the ancient demon statue into his left eye and instead kept it inside his storage space. He could still maintain the rejection force in his body. Only by absorbing it at the critical moment could the ancient demon statue display its full effect. Wang Lin didn't want to absorb it if he could avoid it. He wanted to wait for this ancient demon statue to grow a bit more. As for the ancient demon he had caught in Alheaven, it was still sealed by him. It was not time to use it yet. He once promised the ancient demon a chance at survival. Wang Lin didn't he forget. The starry sky was silent at night, unless there were rumbles of cultivators fighting. Right now, Wang Lin was silently walking into the distance. He looked slow, but in truth, every step he took covered vast distances. It was no different than spatial bending. Wang Lin didn't go to the rain celestial realm. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but he didn't have enough time. He passed by the hidden rain celestial realm entrance and looked back. He had to go pick up the madman first. On the other edge of the brilliant void, there was a planet. This planet wasn't Planet Suzaku but a rank 7 cultivation planet. It was surrounded by several smaller planets, and it looked very quiet from a distance. Because this area was quite empty, not many cultivators came here. At this moment, in a mortal city on this planet, it was already autumn. The cold autumn wind swept through the city as if it had taken something away and then left. This was a small town, it wasn't big. There weren't many people living here, so the street was mostly vacant. Only some shops were open, and the autumn wind was causing the shops to shake, making it look a bit depressing. There were several stalls in the corner of the street, and the servers were all lazily chatting with each other. They were wearing layers of clothing, but they could still feel the coldness of the autumn wind. The rustling sounds on the ground echoed as the withered leaves were blown along the street. Some of the leaves were sent to these stalls and were blocked by the tables. The leaves went around and glided off into the distance. Some autumn leaves flew into the sky and off into another street. Then they hit someone's face. That person was originally walking forward while swaggering with 2 men following him. They had flattering smiles and were whispering something to him, making this person laugh happily. This laughter was interrupted by the autumn leaves. He muttered something before slapping his face and removing a leaf. He threw it on the ground and then mercilessly jumped on it a few times. As he stomped the leaf, he roared at the same time. "Little leaf, you dare to have ideas about this king? Let's see how this king will deal with you." He stomped on the leaf more than 10 times before the wind blew it away. Only then did he finally give up. He was the madman. The 2 people behind him were Shu Liguo and Liu Jinbiao. They were used to the madman's actions, so they only looked at each other. Shu Liguo blinked as he watched the leaf fly away and sent a message to Liu Jinbiao. "Old Liu, why do I think there is something about his words he couldn't have seen through us?" Liu Jinbiao rubbed his chin and sent a message back. "According to my analysis, this person is really crazy, so he will not see through us. Master Shu can rest assured." Shu Liguo nodded. He believed in Liu Jinbiao's judgment. During this time, they had worked together to scam the madmen and had gained a lot of benefits. Thinking of this, Shu Liguo quickly revealed a flattering smile and walked up to massage the madman's shoulders. He viciously stared at the flying leaf and said, "That's right, trample it to death. Who let it dare to bully this king? King, do you want this little one to catch it so you can trample it some more?" The madman waved his hand and proudly smiled. "Forget it, this king will let that leaf go. Little Shu, where is that little girl you spoke of? Quickly, take this king there. If this king is satisfied, this king will reward you." When Shu Liguo heard there was a reward, his eyes lit up. However, Liu Jinbiao let out a dry cough. His expression was calm, as if he was unmoved. "King, you didn't like any of the ones before. This time, I, Shu Liguo, spent a lot of effort to find another that you will be satisfied with." But without waiting for Shu Liguo to finish, the madman bit his finger. Blood flowed out, and he wiped it on Shu Liguo. "That is enough." Shu Liguo's expression filled with excitement. He carefully wiped away the blood and put it away before he quickly nodded. Even Liu Jinbiao's eyes lit up. He licked his lips and made himself look calm, but his gaze constantly looked toward Shu Liguo. Under the madman's eagerness, the trio arrived at the edge of the street, where there was a shop. Liu Jinbiao walked into the shop first. When the madman and Shu Liguo entered, he immediately closed the door. After forming a few seals to seal the door, he quickly followed. "Why is it so troublesome?" Before he got close, he heard a roar from the madman. There was a transfer array in the backyard of this shop. This array was very rough, and it was obvious that it was placed not long ago. The madman stood outside the transfer array and roared at Shu Liguo. Shu Liguo put on a flattering smile and rubbed his hands together. "King, this little one found you a cultivator at the corporeal yang stage. This person originally refused, but this little one spent a lot of effort to make this person agree. However, due this person's noble status, that person is extra careful. The madman's face was filled with impatience and he pursed his mouth. We came here for so many days and Haven T succeeded once. If it's not successful this time, this king won't T play anymore. This can T be as fun as you say. What kind of fun thing has this king not played with before? Shu Liguo smiled with a look of intoxication and quickly said, once king has a taste, you will know this little one is not lying. It's just that this little one doesn't have enough spirit stones to activate this formation. The madman muttered and hesitated for a bit before he squeezed out a drop of blood to give to Shu Liguo. He then muttered to himself, this king's blood is very precious. Back then that hoo. Shu Liguo ignored the madman and excitedly caught the blood. After putting it away, he winked at Lu Jinbiao. Lu Jinbiao remained calm and activated the transfer array when the madman wasn't paying attention. There was a flash of light and the three of them disappeared. A ray light flashed inside a valley and 3 people appeared. However, shortly after, the madman began to roar once more. Why is there another transfer array? This king is not going to play. Shu Liguo had somehow managed to convince the madman, and a moment later there was another flash of light. The valley calmed down once more. Just like this, after the madman roared, there were flashes of light in more than 10 locations. The madman's roar became even more intense. How many transfer arrays are there? This king is really not going to play. You re-bullying me, you've all gone too far. I'm going to tell my teacher. It seemed that this last sentence had an effect. Shu Liguo's body trembled, and even Lu Jinbiao's eyelids twitched. He anxiously looked at Shu Liguo. It seemed that last sentence had scared him to death. During this period of time, the two of them had gotten the information that the madman had taken Wang Lin as his teacher. Shu Liguo was shocked for a moment. During these days, he had almost forgotten about the fiend. He quickly said, this is the last one. This is the last one. This one doesn't need spirit stones. Once we go, we can see that little girl. At this moment, a ripple echoed outside the planet, and Wang Lin walked out. He looked at the planet and frowned. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes. Nonsense. Finally, the weekend is here, and Leo can finally sleep to his heart's content, not needing to get up early to take the daughter to school. Been burning the midnight oil these past few days, utterly exhausted. Chapter 1567. Didn't he do anything? In the northwest part of this planet, there was a mountain range with plenty of spiritual energy. The mountain range was surrounded by a dense jungle. It seemed endless at a glance, and the leaves prevented any sunlight from shining through, causing the area below to be wet year-round. Deep within this jungle stood a long mountain. It was tall, but it was surrounded by fog. This fog made the mountain look blurry. A ray of formation light suddenly came from the mountain and pierced through the fog. This light lasted for several breaths before gradually weakening. There was a cave inside that mountain. This cave was dim and gave off a gloomy feeling. There was a transfer array inside the cave, and the light came from the array. As the light weakened, 3 people walked out. It was the madman and company. The madman blinked as he looked at the cave and murmured, this king is confused. Damn it, where is this place? Shu Liguo suppressed the excitement in his heart and quickly walked out from the transfer array. He let out dry cough and showed a flattering smile. King, this is the place. You wait here, I'll go see if that little girl is ready. When the madman heard the words little girl, he was no longer confused and his eyes lit up. He clapped his hands and roared, aha, good. This king wants to see if it is as good as you say. If this king is satisfied, this king will reward you. Lu Jinbiao came out of the formation and waved his sleeves to cause a stone chair to fly over. After the madman sat down, he revealed a flattering smile as well and began massaging the madman's shoulders. Lu Jinbiao massaged with a lot of effort. His grasp of his strength was very good. This made the madman very comfortable, and the madman closed his eyes to enjoy it. A moment later, Lu Jinbiao stopped and stood next to the madman. He then put on a respectful expression, knelt down with his arms extended out, and silently lowered his head. The madman waited for a moment and opened his eyes with a puzzled expression. He looked at Lu Jinbiao and stretched his head. Finished? That fast? Lu Jinbiao didn't move. He kept his pose and said, "King, please give me a reward." The madman was startled for a moment and murmured, "Just a little massage, and you want a reward? I won't give you anything. This king's blood is very precious. Back then that who. Before he finished speaking, Lu Jinbiao raised his head and looked at the madman with a serious expression. He said, "King, please give me a reward." The madman became angry. He got up and roared, not giving, I'm not going to give anything." Facing the madman's roar, Lu Jinbiao's expression remained normal. He said, "Ever since King came here, everything you've eaten, used, and played with were paid by me, and I used a lot of spirit stones. This king won't give you anything." Although the madman was still roaring, his voice was clearly a lot lower. "In addition, the silver used in the mortal city was obtained by me. I clearly remember all the money used." Lu Jinbiao's voice was calm. Not much was spent. It was all you guys talking me into spending." The madman's voice became smaller and smaller. "King has been here for a total of 13 days, and I've spent 730,000 spirit stones and 9,850,000 silver. King, do you want me to list it out in detail?" Lu Jinbiao remained calm and gave a detailed report. The madman's eyes widened. His memory was a bit hazy. During these more than 10 days, he felt like he hadn't spent much. It was just that every time he encountered something fun or delicious, he would let Xu Liguo and Lu Jinbiao get it for him. At this moment, when he heard Lu Jinbiao list all the expenses, he began to sweat. Of course, Master has ordered us to take care of King, so this is normal. King is also not a stingy person. You just don't have any spirit stones right now. Perhaps all of King's treasures are with that little red or something. Lu Jinbiao changed the topic. "That's right. Go find little red. Aha, go find little red for it." How can this king be stingy? This king is not stingy at all. It's better you go find little red. Little red has all of this king's possessions. The madman subconsciously wiped away the sweat and nodded. "King is a generous person. You won't make me spend all this for nothing. As for the spirit stones and silver, although they were my savings for over 1,000 years, consider it my gift to the king." "There is no need to look for little red." Lu Jinbiao shook his head and let out a sigh. He no longer spoke, but walked to the side. He stared at the stone wall ahead, as if he was very sad. When the madman saw Lu Jinbiao like this, he rubbed his nose, feeling his heart ache a bit. He scratched his head before he bit the tip of his finger and squeezed out a drop of his blood to hand to Lu Jinbiao. The madman's heart ached, but he pretended to be magnanimous and said, "You a good person, like Xu Liguo. This king is not stingy. This king won't mistreat you." Lu Jinbiao suppressed the excitement in his heart. He accepted the blood without any expression and softly said this thanks. When he acted like this, the madman felt like he owed Lu Jinbiao something. He squeezed out 7 or 8 more drops of blood and gave them all to Lu Jinbiao. Lu Jinbiao's body trembled, and his excitement could no longer be hidden. He quickly put them away and bowed at the madman. Just at this moment, Xu Liguo came out of the cave. He smiled and said, "King, that little girl is ready. How about we go now?" After the madman heard this, he forgot his heartache. He excitedly got up and nodded. Xu Liguo let out a mischievous smile. He looked at the madman like he was looking at a moving treasure. He and Lu Jinbiao led the madman into the depths of the cave. There was a room inside the cave, and there was a curtain blocking the door. One could see a blurry outline. There seemed to be someone sitting inside. After arriving outside the door, Xu Liguo revealed a mischievous smile and whispered, "King, that little girl's waiting for you inside. Quickly go. Us 2 little ones will guard outside." The madman put on a smug expression and let out a few roars. Just as he was about to enter the room, he turned around to face Xu Liguo and asked with a solemn expression, "Is it really as fun as you say?" Xu Liguo patted his chest and nodded. "This little one never lies. King will know when you try it." The madman's eyes became excited and he stepped into the room. At a glance, he saw a young man wearing black sitting not far away. He was very handsome. "Ha ha, little girl, tell this king your name. This king will reward you." The young man frowned and coldly said, "This poor Taoist is Fan Huazi." Outside the room, Xu Liguo rubbed his hands and looked very excited. He smiled at Liu Jinbiao. Old Liu, your scam is very good. Just the dozen transfer arrays from before got us a lot of blood. Rest assured, according to our agreement, we will split it 7-3. Liu Jinbiao smiled and shook his head. This is not a scam. This old man has never cheated any madman. They were all people with higher cultivation levels, and they were extremely cunning. Dealing with them required me to set up a scam, and there could be no flaws. As for this madman, his mind is simple. The complex scams from before are useless against him. It would be like playing a harp to a cow. This time this old man used the simplest one. Although the flaw is right there, it is effective. Shu Liguo laughed and nodded. We have to seize the time. After this, we still have a few places to go, so we need to end this quickly. We have to do a good job, or else, after that fiend comes back, Shu Liguo shivered. In fact, he was very afraid. He calculated the time that had passed and crushed a jade. The moment the jade was crushed, the transfer array inside the cave lit up once more. More than 10 cultivators appeared, and they all looked fierce. The leader was a woman, and her expression was cold. They charged into the depths of the cave. After meeting up with Shu Liguo and Liu Jinbiao, both sides smiled. Shu Liguo walked next to the door and let out a miserable scream. King, not good. Afawazi as Dao partner came. As he spoke, he coughed out a mouthful of essence energy. He looked dispirited and fell to the side. Liu Jinbiao hit his chest with his right hand and coughed out blood. The female cultivator let out a snort. With more than 10 cultivators behind her, she tore the curtain. Inside the curtain, the madman Swa sitting opposite of Fanwazi. He stared blankly at the large group of cultivators and was startled. What are you going to do? This king, the madman's eyes were filled with fear. He still didn't know why this was happening. Shut up! You guys dare to do this kind of thing? The woman stared coldly at the madman. The other cultivators all stared at him fiercely and filled the room. The madman became anxious and quickly began to explain, we didn't do anything. I only asked him his name, The young man in black sitting across from the madman revealed a sense of shame. He got up and silently walked to the side. Don T tried to twist words. Fill these 10 pots with your blood or else I'll kill them first. The female cultivator's eyes were filled with disgust. She waved her sleeves and 10 jade pots appeared before the madman. Then, Shu Liguo and Liu Jinbiao were brought in. Shu Liguo had swords stabbed into his body and he let out a weak yet miserable scream. King Don T, worry about me. Escape! Liu Jinbiao was also covered in blood. But when he heard Shu Liguo's words, he secretly cursed and immediately let out a miserable scream. King, we were involved because of you. King is righteous, you have to save us. None knew that as they were doing this, a figure with a cold gaze wearing white had appeared behind them. Shu Liguo, Liu Jinbiao, you two got guts. Very good, very good. Day in, day out, nearing 3,000 words, reading a lot. But can't force myself to split the story into 2,000 words chapters, because then the flavor's gone. Leo with tears in his eyes, longing for the like button for the video. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1568. Dealing with Evil Servants. These cold words were like a cold wind blowing from behind them. When they entered Liu Jinbiao's ears, his pupils shrank and he was frozen on the spot. His mind went blank. He trembled and subconsciously turned around. This caused him to almost lose his wits, and he knelt down. His face was pale and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. This time it was real blood. And it was scared out of him. No matter how good of a scammer he was, he couldn't think of anything. He trembled and wanted to say something, but under Wang Lin's gaze, his mind trembled, and he felt like his body was being torn apart. That gaze pierced through his body and Origin's soul like a sword. It was as if Wang Lin only needed one thought to kill him. That terrifying gaze contained a killing intent that caused Liu Jinbiao's scalp to go numb. He was so scared he became mute and couldn't say a word. He could only kneel and kowtow constantly. Even though his forehead was bleeding, he didn't care. Shu Liguo was still proud and was screaming miserably, but when he heard this voice, he trembled. He was very familiar with this voice, very, very familiar. It was the voice of the fiend he feared. The anger and coldness in this voice caused Shu Liguo's spirit body to almost dissipate. His mind trembled and his face turned pale. The swords in his body collapsed, and this time he truly looked dispirited. He turned around and saw Wang Lin's cold gaze. This gaze caused him to almost pass out, and his eyes were filled with extreme fear. "My master!" Shu Liguo was frozen for a moment and let out a miserable scream. This sound could shake one's soul, and it completely transmitted his fear. "Master, have mercy, master, listen to me. This matter is not as you see." This matter, after all, Shu Liguo had followed Wang Lin for a very long time. Although he was filled with fear, he could still somewhat speak, which was much more than Lu Jinbiao could do. Although his voice was trembling, he seemed to want to hug Wang Lin's leg and beg. This sudden change shocked remaining cultivators. The more than 10 vicious cultivators all turned around and looked at Wang Lin. When they saw Wang Lin, they felt the cold eyes penetrate them, and their minds rumbled. They all coughed out blood and fear filled their eyes. That woman also turned pale and coughed out blood, forcing her to retreat a few steps. The panic in her eyes reached its limit. She didn't know who this new person was, but the pressure he emitted was almost enough to make her collapse. Even her master and all the powerful cultivators she had met were like mere ants before this person. "You, who are you?" Trembling, the female cultivator retreated. Even her words and face became twisted from fear under the pressure. Not only her, but almost everyone felt like they were standing before a storm. This storm was connected with the world and contained the power to destroy all life. They were small before the storm and would die just from touching the storm. The young man in black, Fan Huazi, was standing in the distance. Blood was flowing down from the corner of his pale mouth. However, he looked at Wang Lin with a dull gaze before revealing excitement. He seemed to recognize Wang Lin but couldn't believe it. The madman was the person with the least pressure. The moment he saw Wang Lin, he immediately revealed a wronged expression. Tears appeared in his eyes, and he rushed over the crowd toward Wang Lin and began to cry. "They bullied me! I clearly didn't do anything. I only asked what that little girl's name was. I really did nothing. Shu Liguo told me how I could have a lot of fun by doing this and that. But before I could do this and that, they came in. I did nothing." The madman felt wronged and eventually began to cry. Shu Liguo's heart trembled when he heard this. He didn't dare to move forward under Wang Lin's indifferent gaze. Just as he was about to speak, Wang Lin pointed forward. With this point, Shu Liguo spat out large amount of spiritual body essence, and his body turned almost transparent. Then his body flew back and smashed into the stone wall. There was a flash of restriction light, causing him to let out another miserable scream as he bounced off. This point had wasted almost 30% of his cultivation, causing his spirit body to almost collapse. That intense pain caused him to scream miserably. This time he was completely afraid. He had followed Wang Lin for many years and knew how cruel Wang Lin was. He didn't call Wang Lin fiend for nothing. "Master, master, I have accomplished great deeds for master. I have shed blood for master." "Master, do you still remember the giant demon clan ancestor on planet Suzaku? Does master remember?" Shu Liguo screamed and listed almost everything he had done for Wang Lin. He was afraid that if he was late, he would not have a chance of speaking again. If it wasn't for all of that, that point wouldn't had just wasted 30% your cultivation, it'd have killed you. Wang Lin's eyes were cold. He had vowed to be kind to this madman, yet Shu Liguo had dared to go against his command. It was as he said, if not for the fact that Shu Liguo had followed him for so long, Wang Lin would have already killed Shu Liguo. His gaze swept toward Lu Jinbiao, who was kowtowing non-stop, and there was a flash of killing intent. The world can easily change, but one's personality is difficult to change. "Lu Jinbiao, you disappoint me. You achieved great merits at the Fire Sparrow clan, and I promise to let you go. I plan to give you a great fortune as a gift for taking care of him." Wang Lin's voice was cold as he spoke. His voice was like a cold wind that filled the area. Lu Jinbiao's body trembled and he kowtowed even faster, smashing his forehead on the ground. Looking at Lu Jinbiao, Wang Lin pointed forward and a gust of wind landed on Lu Jinbiao's body. Lu Jinbiao trembled and coughed out blood before being knocked back a few dozen feet. You have made a great achievement that is still there, but I won't give you that great fortune. You can forget about being free. You will be my slave for 1,000 years. When he heard Wang Lin's words, Lu Jinbiao revealed a bitter smile, but he let out a big breath of relief in his heart. He could accept this punishment. Lord of the Sealed Realm. You read the Lord of the Sealed Realm, Fan Huazi excitedly called out. He wasn't too sure before, but when he heard Wang Lin talk about Planet Suzaku in the Fire Sparrow clan, he was certain. He excitedly walked toward Wang Lin and bowed. When he spoke, the surrounding cultivators were filled with disbelief and excitement filled their bodies. They all clasped their hands and bowed. Greetings, Lord of the Sealed Realm. The female cultivator was startled for a moment before clasping her hands like everyone else. She trusted Fan Huazi's words. Only the Lord of the Sealed Realm could give off such a terrifying pressure. Wang Lin's gaze was still the same as he looked at the young man in black and slowly said, "You have seen me before?" The young man was extremely excited. He quickly walked up and respectfully said, "Junior lived in Al-Heaven for a period of time and was there in the first battle at the Cloud Sea. Junior was among the Al-Heaven army and saw the Lord of the Sealed Realm from a distance. Also, Junior received the jade from the Cloud Sea, so I had a vague idea of your appearance." After he spoke, he looked at the madman behind Wang Lin and looked ashamed. He wanted to explain something, but in the end he found it difficult to say. Wang Lin silently pondered and coldly looked at the cultivators inside the cave. His gaze brought a large amount of pressure on these cultivators. They all lowered their heads ashamed and didn't dare to speak. "This matter, don't repeat it." A moment later, Wang Lin waved his sleeve. He took Xu Liguo, Liu Jinbiao, and the madman into the ripple, and they all disappeared. Only after he was gone did the cultivators in the cave dare to look up. Their backs were soaked in cold sweat, and they looked at each other, their hearts beating rapidly. "See, Nizi, this is your doing. If you didn't force me, we wouldn't be looked down upon by the Lord of the Sealed Realm. You, alas. I am also to blame for becoming greedy because of Xu Liguo's words. To actually do such a thing to deceive a madman." Fan Huazi looked extremely ashamed as he looked at where Wang Lin disappeared to. Wang Lin was someone he respected, and he had dreamt of meeting the Lord of the Sealed Realm. However, he never actually dreamt that it would come true under such circumstances. The female cultivator also felt ashamed and gnashed her teeth. "It's all that Xu Liguo's fault. That man, if I meet him again, I'll definitely make him pay for this matter." Among the stars, Wang Lin slowly walked forward. Lu Jinbiao and Xu Liguo were stored inside his storage space. Most of the golden blood they had obtained was taken by Wang Lin. The madman still looked wronged and chattered non-stop behind Wang Lin. This matter had left a profound impression on the madman. "The human heart is sinister. The human heart is sinister. Also spirit stones and silver are very important. Very important. In the future, if I get spirit stones or silver, I must use them carefully and not careless. Spend them carelessly, spend them at all. Careless, spend them." Even Wang Lin didn't expect that this experience would change the madman's personality a bit. Once he had spirit stones and silver, his stinginess could shock anyone. Listening to the madman chattering behind him, Wang Lin gradually calmed down. He looked back at the madman. Especially given the chatter, this madman really looked like a certain person. A person he only met once in the outer realm and had almost completely forgotten. Wang Lin shook his head and smiled. He felt like his thoughts were a bit absurd. He no longer thought about this and slowly walked toward Planet Suzaku. International Children's Day brings tears and wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1569, Planet Suzaku. The starry sky was calm like the dark ocean that was sleeping without any wind or waves. The sparkling stars were like the eyes of mothers that would make one feel extra homesick. When one no longer had any close relatives, those sparkling eyes would become blurry. A sense of sadness would surge from the body of your heart and become a sigh. Cultivators were also people. They also had emotions and memories they couldn't give up. They bullied me. Their punishment was too light. "I want you to turn that Xu Liguo into a little piggy. No, wait, into a leaf. To let me stomp him to death." Lu Jinbiao too, he actually dared to deceive me. Those who deceive this king will have miserable ends. Your punishment of turning him into a slave for 1,000 years is too light. You should also turn him into a leaf so I can stomp him to death. The madman followed Wang Lin and continued to talk non-stop until it became a buzz around Wang Lin's ears. Seeing that Wang Lin was staring into the distance and not paying attention to him at all, the madman gave up roaring at Wang Lin. Instead, he began to circle Wang Lin and roar at the same time. It seemed as if he wasn't going to give up until Wang Lin listened to him. Wang Lin silently walked forward. He was getting closer and closer to planet Suzaku. Even with his eyes closed, he could find planet Suzaku in the brilliant void. Some of it might be due to his spells, but more importantly, there was something there that made his soul sad. The madman's chatter became even more intense and didn't stop at all. He didn't feel tired and continued to circle Wang Lin and roar. Turn them into leaves, I am going to stomp. Enough. After the madman had circled him thousands of times, Wang Lin's thoughts were interrupted. Wang Lin raised his right hand and caused the madman to stop before him. Wang Lin looked at the madman and slowly said, "Be quiet for a bit." The madman was caught by Wang Lin and stared at Wang Lin as he roared, "Turn them into leaves." Wang Lin frowned. "I don't care, you have to turn them into leaves, into leaves. The madman didn't care and constantly growled. He was like a child that wanted a toy from his parents. Wang Lin's voice was calm as slowly said, "You actually had long seen through their plan and scam." This king didn't see through them. The madman was startled for a moment, and his eyes turned, shaking his head. He shook his head like a mortal child playing with a rattle drum. Wang Lin meaningfully looked at the madman and loosened his grip as he walked forward. "The blood you gave Shu Liguo and Lu Jinbiao was useless. All that blood, even after being refined, wouldn't match half a drop of your real blood. They were cheating you, and you were also cheating them. Do you still want to play this kind of trick before me? I, Wang Lin, have already dealt justice. The punishment they suffered is enough. Don't mention it anymore." Wang Lin turned away from the madman, and his words slowly echoed. The madman winked. Then his face turned red and he giggled. A moment later he said, "How can this wise king be deceived by them, however? That Shu Liguo and Lu Jinbiao really do have the ability to deceive this king." They too evil. Good thing this king understands how precious his blood is. Back then, that hoo. The madman kept muttering. Then he saw Wang Lin walk away and quickly followed. His voice slowly weakened. After following Wang Lin for a bit, he looked at Wang Lin with a puzzled expression. Once more, he felt the feeling he got from Wang Lin when they first left the Nether Beast. Wang Lin was silent the entire way and didn't speak a word. Soon, a planet filled with rich spiritual energy, to the point that it was in a radiant state, appeared before him. This planet wasn't big. It could be considered a small planet. However, when Wang Lin saw this planet, his body trembled, and he stopped. He silently looked at the planet, looked at the hometown that was engraved in his mind. Soon, lots of faces appeared before his yes. Those familiar people formed his life on planet Suzaku. The melancholy on his face became even stronger. Things remain the same, but people change is a phrase used to describe time. However, for Wang Lin, even these eternal things seemed to change. He stared stunned at planet Suzaku. There was a powerful formation around the planet that surrounded the area and was constantly active. It formed a ripple that spread across the star system. Wang Lin remembered that this formation didn't exist when he left. From his view, this formation was fairly new and only been up for a few decades. After a long time, Wang Lin let out a sigh and slowly walked forward. The madman followed Wang Lin and looked curiously at planet Suzaku. As the two moved forward, several rays of light flew toward planet Suzaku. There were 4 cultivators in total, 3 male, 1 female, 3 young, 1 old. Their faces were filled with respect as if they were on a pilgrimage. They flew past Wang Lin and the madman toward the formation around planet Suzaku. When the 4 rays of light got close to the formation, the old man said with a dignified tone, "This is planet Suzaku, the lord of the sealed realm's hometown. Remember not to cause any trouble after entering planet Suzaku. This is the holy land of the brilliant void, or even the inner realm. A large amount of old monsters live here to protect the planet for the lord of the sealed realm." The old man looked toward the 3 younger cultivators behind him, and they quickly nodded. The respect on their faces became even stronger as they looked at planet Suzaku. Wang Lin slowly arrived outside the formation around planet Suzaku. He was several thousand feet from those 4 cultivators. As he looked at planet Suzaku, he became even more emotional. The madman was very lonely along the way and couldn't help but miss Xu Liguo and Liu Jinbiao. He began to mutter secretly in his heart. Actually, those 2 fellows were not bad to his king, as he muttered. His gaze caught the 4 people several thousands of feet away and his eyes lit up. Ha ha, 3 little girls. Tell this king your name. This king will reward you. The madman's eyes lit up, and he waved his hand. He immediately began calling out to those 4 cultivators. His words were abrupt, and the 4 cultivators were startled for a moment. The female cultivator subconsciously looked back, thinking there would be more cultivators coming from the distance. The madman excitedly roared, "What are you looking back for? This king isn't talking about you. I am talking to the 3 little girls behind you. Little girls, what are your names?" After he spoke, aside from the old man, the expressions of the 2 young men changed. He coldly stared at the madman and was about to speak. The old man frowned and lifted his hands to stop his disciples. He wasn't looking at the madman but at Wang Lin, who was still looking at planet Suzaku with reminiscence in his eyes. "Fellow cultivator, I presume you also came on a pilgrimage to the hometown of the Lord of the Sealed Realm." The Lord of the Sealed Realm's hometown.